This is ChestertonRadio.com.
And here's the cinnamon bell.
It's time again for Judy and Jimmy, who, with their friends, the Cinnamon Bear and the Crazy Quilt Dragon, are having a pretty difficult time. After Queen Melissa of Maybeland gave them an envelope containing instructions for having their broken silver star put back together again, they set out for the Wishing Woods, because the instructions were written in magic ink and could only be read in total darkness. In the middle of the woods, they met Snappersnick, the crooning crocodile, who lived in a big white bathtub and sang. He was very, very much interested in the magic instructions and asked if he might take a look at the envelope. Jimmy obligingly held it up for Snappersnick to see, and clack, clack went the crocodile's jaws, and the instructions were gone.
A pretty kettle of kipper snacks this is, a pretty kettle.
Yeah. What do you mean by chewing up Melissa's important instructions, Snappersnick?
They were ever so valuable, and now we'll never know what they said, and we'll never be able to find out how our broken star can be mended.
My friends, don't carry on like this. Why?
A fine thing. I do believe you're the crudest crocodile I ever laid eyes on.
And just wait till I lay me cinnamon paws on him. I'll teach him a thing or two.
Splendid. Maybe you could teach me how to sing a low H flat, huh? I've never quite been able to swing it.
Well, if you didn't have such a big nose, I'd twist it. That's what I do.
Oh, dear. Do you suppose if we went back to Melissa, she'd give us some more instructions, Cinnamon Bear?
I'm afraid not, Judy. She'd probably think us very careless and unworthy.
Oh, come, my friends. Why so bleak? Don't be like that. Didn't you say you wanted to read the instructions?
Of course we did, you bad, bad crocodile. But how can we read them when you've got them inside you?
Didn't Melissa say those magic instructions could only be read in total darkness?
Sure, that's what she said, you big blunt-nosed bully.
But even if we did find some darkness like that, we wouldn't have anything to read in it now.
Aha! Did you ever stop to think that there's nothing more totally dark than the inside of a crocodile?
Goodness gracious me. That's certainly total darkness, all right. But you're not suggesting, my good fellow, that one of us climb in and read them, are you?
You bet he is. It's just a trick, Crazy Quilt. A low, deceiving, crocodilish trick.
Balderdash, my fuzzy friend. I'm simply trying to be of assistance. That's why I grabbed Melissa's instructions and downed them.
But that doesn't help us any, even if they are in a total darkness now. We can't read them.
No, but I can.
Don't be funny, my bathtub baritone. How can you read them when they're snug in your tummy?
Ha-ha! Just a bit of Snappersnick service. But perhaps a little explanation is in line, huh? A little light on the subject?
You're daffy, just plain daffy.
Not at all. You see, I can't read a thing with my eyes. Not a word. Mother forgot to send me to school when I was a lad. Consequently, when I want to know something that's in print, the only thing I can do is swallow it, wait till it's digested, and then I know what it says.
You mean you just eat anything that's written, and you know what it is without looking at it?
Exactly. And a voracious reader I was in my day, too. Used to digest 3 or 4 mystery stories a day. Got 'em from a circulating library. But finally they took my card away because I never returned the books.
Oh, my goodness.
You seem to have too literary an appetite, I suppose.
Well, I couldn't return them, you see. Most annoying, too. Why, I haven't read any good books in ages. Have to content myself with old newspapers and magazines.
Then you can read Melissa's instructions.
Absolutely. Read anything I eat. In some ways, an advantage. I eat all my singing lessons. And the music, too. Incidentally, I have quite a repertoire of songs on tap. How would you like to hear me sing On the Road to Maybeland?
If you don't mind, we'd much rather hear you read those instructions.
Yes, please do, Mr. Snappersnick. How long does it take you to digest something so you could read it?
Well, that depends on what it is. Took me all last summer to digest half of Anthony Crocodile. Then I gave it up. Little too much of a meal. But these instructions are nothing. Should be digested by now.
Hurry up and read them, Snappersnick. We've got to get going.
Very well. Must close my eyes first so I can concentrate. There. Mm-hmm. Ah. My.
Tell us quick. What do they say?
Most interesting. Quote, then Christopher Crocodile stared deep into Cynthia Crocodile's blue eyes and then... Oh, pardon me. Got mixed up with the short story I ate out of Crocodile Confessions this morning.
Oh, quit fiddling around and read the instructions, will you?
Right away. Here we are. Quote, the wishing well is where to go to find out what you want to know. Unquote.
Gee, that doesn't say how we can get the Silver Star put back together again.
It just tells us to go someplace. Are you sure you read them right, Mr. Snappersnick?
Positive. Right there in black and black.
If you'll remember, Judy, Melissa said it would take a little extra magic to fix the star. This just means we'll have to go to the wishing well for further instruction.
That's it. Do you know how to get to the wishing well, Snappersnick?
Not exactly. I never venture very far away from my blessed bathtub. But they tell me it's in that direction.
It is. Come on, everybody. Let's get started.
Yes, let's. Thanks so much, Mr. Snappersnick, for reading Melissa's instructions and everything.
Oh, glad to have been of some assistance, and sorry you can't stay to hear me sing a bit. Really remarkable voice, you know. May do a little opera next season.
And thanks again. Thanks again, Snappersnick, and goodbye.
Yes, goodbye, Snapper.
So long.
Ah, yes, goodbye, my friends. Regret I can't walk away with you, but must practice my scales now.
Well, I guess everything has turned out for the best after all.
I guess it has, all right. But my goodness, who'd have thought of reading those instructions in a crocodile's tummy?
I was all ready to bust him one.
It certainly was as close to total darkness as you'd be able to find anywhere.
I wonder what we'll find out at the wishing well.
Which wishing well do you think we're supposed to find? There must be more than one. That's why these are called the wishing woods. I fell into a lemonade wishing well once upon a time, you remember. But I didn't think to make a wish to keep my colors from running.
I suppose we have to wish that the stars put back together again.
Oh, that sounds logical.
Gee, what's that?
Sounds just like a clock. Well, what would a clock be doing here?
I'm sure I don't know, but we find many strange things in the wishing woods, you know.
It sounds like it came from over there. Let's go around this tree and see where it comes from.
My goodness. It looks like a feather duster, but it's got shoes on.
Yeah, and they look just like those old shoes of Uncle Jed's up in the attic.
Yes.
I know what it is. It's an ostrich. I've seen pictures of him.
Ahoy, friend Ostrich. My word, he's got his head stuck in the ground.
Who's there?
Just us, Judy and Jimmy.
Paddy O'Cinnamon and yours truly, Crazy Quilt.
I'll be right out.
What do you suppose he's doing with his head stuck in the ground that way?
Maybe he can tell you, Judy.
Hello, my friends, and what can I do for you today?
But we were just wondering.
About that ticking noise.
Oh, that. Just my breakfast, mates. A lovely green alarm clock.
Alarm clock?
Yes, indeed. Oh, it was a beauty, all right. Most refreshing.
Jimmy, I remember that ostriches eat awful funny things. Don't let him see the broken star. He might take that away and eat it.
Pardon me, little lady. I couldn't help hearing what you said. Very keen ears, you know. You don't have to worry about my eating anything you may happen to have with you. I'm not like other ostriches. I'm delicate. That's what I am. Delicate. I'm an ostrich as knows what he likes. If you don't think I am, you're mistaken. My favorite dish is divinely delicious. It's scrambled alarm clocks and bacon. Some ostriches go in for dainties, like hot water bottles and socks. They rave about lampshades and doorknobs, but stick up their noses at clocks. I've tried everything in the cookbooks, and of all of the food I've partaken, there's nothing so yummy or good for the tummy as scrambled alarm clocks and bacon. Just follow my simplified diet for peaceful, contented insides. Alarm clocks will stifle your hunger and call you for dinner besides. You can set all the clocks that you eat for the next time you wish to awaken. And when they start clanging, you're up with a bang, and it's scrambled alarm clocks and bacon. Strike me pink, dear scrambled alarm clocks and bacon.
You certainly are a very unusual bird, Mr. Ostrich.
Holliver's my name, little lady, and you don't have to put an handle to it. Just plain Holliver, but I will admit to the unusual without too much boasting.
would you mind telling us why you put your head in the ground?
Not at all. Just having had my breakfast, I was indulging in a spot of meditation.
He means he was thinking, Judy.
Oh.
And I always thinks best with me head that way.
Do you know which way it is to the wishing well, Oliver?
Rather. Right in front of your nose it is.
Where?
A bit leftish of where I'm standing now. Do you see it?
Oh, it looks just like an old tree stump.
That may be, young man, but it's the wishing well for all of that. I can't...
What's that?
Strike me, think. That's the clock telling me it's time for more scrambled alarm clocks and bacon. I hate to have to dash off like this. No end, sorry. Cheerio.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
Oliver.
Well, I guess it's up to us to look it over anyway. It doesn't look like a well from here now, does it?
It certainly doesn't. But come on.
Gee, I can't see over the top of it at all. Can you, Judy?
No, and I'm standing on my tiptoes, too.
I can see over it. Certainly is dark down there.
Stop taking up all the room, Crazy Quilt. Now, come on, let me look.
Oh, certainly. Want a boost, Patio Cinnamon?
No, I'll just climb up on your shoulder.
Just as you like. Making it all right?
Of course I'm making it all right. There. Well. I'm not making a pun, I hope you understand.
Oh, no.
There must be something to show it's a wishing well. A sign or some writing? Awfully dark down there.
What do you see, Cinnamon Bear?
Not a blessed thing, Jimmy. Just a minute. I'll lean over a little farther and... I'm slipping.
Oh, my goodness.
He's fallen into the wishing well.
Poor Cinnamon Bear. The bottom of a deep, dark wishing well is certainly a terrible place to be. And while we're on the subject of wishing wells, I wish I knew how the Cinnamon Bear is going to get out. But it looks like we'll have to wait till next time for that. And believe me, I'll be right here to meet you.
This is Chesterton Radio, your home for podcasts of works by G.K. Chesterton, plus drama, comedy, mystery, science fiction, big bands, and much more. The soundtrack to your Chesterton day at chestertonradio.com.
Kraft presents The Great Gildersleeve. Kraft Cheese Company will also bring you Bing Crosby every Thursday night. Present each week at this time Harold Perry as The Great Gildersleeve, written by John Whedon. We'll hear from The Great Gildersleeve in just a moment. Well, Christmas is still a few days away, but I imagine in most of your homes the festivities have already started for the youngsters. Yes, with the kids on vacation, there are probably plenty of parties and occasions when friends drop in. Now, that calls for a well-filled cookie jar. Yes, and a big bowl of popcorn now and then. So here's a tip. For cookies that fairly melt in your mouth, try making them with Parquet margarine for the shortening. You see, besides being grand for table use as a spread for bread and seasoning for hot vegetables, Parquet, when used as a shortening, adds delicate extra flavor to all baked foods. Try Parquet melted over popcorn, too, and just watch the youngsters go for it. Best of all, these Christmas treats aren't expensive when you use economical Parquet. So get your holiday supply of Parquet margarine tomorrow and surprise the youngsters with the best holiday cookies and popcorn they ever tasted. Just ask your dealer for Parquet, Parkay, Parquet margarine made by Kraft. Now let's join our friend, the Great Gildersleeve. With December almost gone, he's been working like a beaver the past few days trying to get out the annual report of the water department. That's why we find him now in his office asleep at 9 o'clock in the morning with his head buried in the annual report and his arms sprawled across the blotter, while through his troubled dreams run thoughts of this happy holiday season.
You simply
must get at that Christmas card list, Uncle Mort.
All right, Marjorie.
Model airplane. That's all I want for Christmas. A model airplane.
I know, Leroy, I know.
How about that annual report, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Right away, Miss Fitch.
How many for Christmas dinner, Mr. Gildersleeve? Can't order till I know how many.
Give me a chance, Bertie.
Just because I'm giving you a present, Throckmorton, I don't want you to think you have to give me a present.
Oh, Leela, I almost forgot.
Have you bought the tree?
Tree?
Have you bought the mistletoe?
Wait a minute.
Have you forgotten anybody?
Wait!
Mr. Gildersleeve,
what do you want?
we regret to inform you that federal regulations require payment for all charge purchases on or before the 10th of the month.
Oh, go away, all of you. Christmas, I hate it.
Oh, Mr. Gildersleeve. Oh, my goodness, what's happened? Mr. Gildersleeve. He's still warm.
Go away, go away.
Wake up.
Miss Fitch, let me see, where were we? Afraid I dozed a little there. Dear sir, read that back to me, will you?
Mr. Gildersleeve, it's morning.
Morning? Is there anything strange about that?
Only that you slept here all night.
I did? Oh, I must apologize, Miss Fitch. I'm afraid I need a shave. Oh, and the suit looks as if I'd slept in it. Oh, well, let's finish this report and get it over with, huh?
But you haven't even had breakfast.
Breakfast can wait, for once. Will you check these figures as I read them off?
Yes, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Thank you. Statement of financial status. Cash on hand, $386.52.
Check.
Accounts receivable, $2,873.38.
Check.
Interest, $139.10.
Check.
Marjorie, negligee and slippers. Leela Ransom, passion flower. There must be something wrong here.
I think there must.
Yes, I guess I must have got to thinking about something else during the night. Silly, wasn't it?
Yes.
Perhaps I should explain, Miss Fitch. I was thinking about my Christmas list.
So I assumed.
Yes. Perhaps I should explain further, Miss Fitch. Passion flower is the name of a perfume.
I know. I use it exclusively myself.
Oh, maybe I better give it a little more thought then. You know, Miss Fitch, I had the most awful dream last night.
I don't wonder.
Yes, I dreamed that I hadn't done a bit of Christmas shopping, which I haven't. But I also dreamed that it was the day before Christmas. I want to tell you I was frantic.
Mr. Gildersleeve, I don't want to spoil your dream, but it is the day before Christmas.
What? It can't be.
But it is.
What happened to all those other days? There's a whole week I've lost track of.
You've been working too hard. You've been going around here in a fog.
Oh, but I haven't bought a single present. I haven't had breakfast. Haven't even had a shave. Oh, this is really going to be one of my bad days.
Come right in, Mr. Gildersleeve. You're next. No waiting.
Good morning, Floyd.
Gee, Mr. Gildersleeve, you look like the grapes of wrath.
Yes, I had a hard night last night, Floyd.
What happened? Did you run into some friends?
No. I worked all night at the office.
That's what they all say.
I told you, Floyd, I worked all night at the office.
Okay. You worked all night at the office.
I haven't had any breakfast either, so let's skip the conversation and make it a quick shave.
All right, Mr. Gildersleeve, if that's the way you want it, that's the way it'll be. This is one place where the customer is always right.
That's fine.
If a man comes in here and doesn't feel like talking, that's all right with me. I can take a hint.
Good.
One thing I know how to do is hold my tongue.
Good.
I'm not like some barbers. You go into their shop and they talk your ear off from the time you get into the chair to the time you get out of it.
Good.
I want people to feel they can come in here and just relax and not have to listen to a whole lot of stuff.
Fine.
Not that I haven't got my troubles like everybody else, but I keep them to myself.
Good.
Now, like last night, I came home after a long day, and my wife had dinner waiting for me, ham hocks and sauerkraut. So we had that and some apple pie, and after dinner I took off my shoes and turned on the radio. I was just getting comfortable, and my wife's sister calls up. And what do you think she wants? Come right over and play pinochle. Well, if you know my wife's sister. So I said to my wife, I said, nothing doing. I said, I'm all set here, I'm comfortable, and right here is where I'm staying.
Good.
I said, you couldn't move me out of here with a 10-ton truck. So we went over and played pinochle for a while, and then in comes... Oh, come in, Judge, come in. Just finishing up with Mr. Gildersleeve here.
He hasn't even started on me yet.
Why, I'll have you shaved in 2 shakes.
See that you don't, brother.
I thought I'd find you here, Gildersleeve.
How are you, Judge? What's on your mind?
I just dropped in to serve notice on you, Gildersleeve, that after your recent performance, I'm not giving you any remembrance this Christmas. And please do not embarrass me by giving me any. Good day.
Good day. Wait a minute. I don't know what you're talking about, Horace. I haven't seen you in a week. I've been very busy.
Yeah, I'll say you've been busy. Busy over at Mrs. Ransom's.
Judge, I haven't even had time.
Don't deny it. The minute I told you I'd bought a ring, you went scurrying over there to try to cut me out. Was that the act of a friend?
Well, Judge, the best laid plans of mice and men gang after Glay. Yeah, that's Scotch. What's the matter? Did she turn you down?
Wouldn't you like to think so? Well, she didn't. She merely asked for time to consider.
It's the same thing. If she considers it, she won't do it. When is she giving you her answer, Judge?
As soon as she gets back from Savannah.
Savannah? Now, that'll show you how innocent I am, Judge. I didn't even know she was going to Savannah.
Now, don't try to give me that. You know as well as I do that she's going home to see her brother.
On my word, Judge, I told you I've been busy this week. I haven't seen anybody.
I don't know what your game is, Gildy, but this time it isn't going to work. I know all about Leela's plans, and I intend to be out at that airport today at 12 sharp to see her off.
So do I, Judge, and thanks for the tip. 12 o'clock at the airport, is it? Well, if it hadn't been for you, I might have missed saying goodbye to her. Yeah.
Gildersleeve, I've borne a lot from you, but this is the last straw. You now place me in the unpleasant position of having to ask you hereafter to do me the favor not to speak to me.
Oh, anything for a friend, Judge. You know that.
Floyd, Merry Christmas.
Bye, Judge. Same to you.
Floyd, get going. I got a lot of ground to cover between now and Christmas. I wonder if I'm in time. I wonder if she's left yet. Leela, have you left yet?
Well, of all people, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Leela, why didn't you tell me you were going away?
I didn't suppose you'd care whether I came or went after the way you treated me last Saturday.
I can explain that, Leela. You see?
Pray, don't bother. I'm hardly in the habit of having gentlemen run out on me without so much as a by your leave.
Leela, let's talk this over. Aren't you going to invite me in?
Well, if you're going to break my door down, I suppose I'll have to.
Thanks.
But I'm leaving right away. I've got all my bags packed, and I'm expecting a gentleman to call for me any minute.
I know. Hooker.
I'm not saying who it is, but he's more of a gentleman than you are.
Leela, about last Saturday, Bertie came back unexpectedly, and I had to go down to the station to meet her.
Did you ever come back?
But Leela...
Did I ever hear word from you all week?
But I haven't had a minute. I've had to get out the annual report of the water department. And if you know what that means...
I know what it means. It means you care more for your old waterworks than you do for me. All I can say is I'm glad I'm going away.
Oh, now, Leela.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Leela, don't be like that. Leela. Oh, help. Somebody help. Look, Leela, I bought you a present.
You brought me a what?
A present. A Christmas present. You see, it's got Santa Claus on it. You see, he's waving to you. Go on, wave to Leela, Santa.
Oh, Throckmorton, you're such a fool. And you didn't forget, did you?
Forget? How could I forget after what happened the last time I saw you?
What happened, Throckmorton?
Don't you remember?
Certainly. I just wanted to see whether you remember.
By George, if there were any mistletoe around here, I'd show you whether I remember or not.
Do you have to have mistletoe? Oh, gracious. It must be time to leave.
Oh, Leela, don't go to Savannah. It's not patriotic to travel now.
Oh, but I have to, Throckmorton. My only brother Marvin is leaving for the Navy.
Oh.
Leela, we haven't got any time to lose.
Come in, Judge. Oh, you were so sweet to call for me, Judge.
Not at all. Not at all. A pleasure.
My bag's already here, and I have a nice surprise for you. Throckmorton's coming to the airport with us.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he's got his car. I'm afraid there won't be room in mine.
Tell the judge we wouldn't think of crowding him, Leela. You can come with me, and he can take the bags.
Oh, yeah? Well, you tell Gildersleeve for me.
Nonsense. Now, we can all ride in one car. We'll put the bags in back and all ride in the front seat.
Leela, you either overestimate my seat or you underestimate Gildersleeve.
All right, let him take the bags up front with him. You and I'll ride in back, Leela.
Oh, no.
Now, we're going to be late. Who's going to carry out my bag?
I've got him.
Yeah, not. I got this one first. Now, let go.
Boys. No fighting now, you hear? Throckmorton gets to carry the suitcase and the hat box, and Horace gets the overnight case.
Oh, Throckmorton gets everything.
Say, don't forget your present, Leela.
Oh, gracious, Throckmorton's present. Pick it up when you come, will you, Judge?
This thing?
Be careful of that, Hooker.
Come on. The plane leaves in half an hour.
Flight 37 to Savannah. All passengers aboard, please.
That's you, Leela. That's your plane.
Oh, my goodness, I'm so excited. You know, I've never been in a flying machine before in my life.
I've got a good notion to come with you, Leela.
Oh, I wish you could.
Yeah, I think I'll stow away on the plane.
I'll bet you would, too, Throckmorton.
That blimp? There isn't room to stow him away on the B-19.
No, look here, Hooker.
Boys, this is Christmas Eve. Peace on earth, goodwill toward men.
Well, he started it.
I don't care who started it. I want you both to promise me one thing before I go.
What's that?
Promise me you'll both be friends while I'm gone. Come on now, shake hands. Shake hands, Throckmorton. Come on.
Well, all right.
That's better. Now you write to me every day, you hear?
I will, Leela.
I'll write twice a day.
So will I.
No, you won't.
I will, too.
Oh, you're so impulsive, you boys. I want you to do me another favor.
Anything you say, Leela.
I want you both to spend Christmas together just thinking about me.
Mrs. Ransom?
Yes?
We're holding the plane for you.
For me? Oh, how nice. I'll be right along. Oh, my, isn't he handsome in his uniform and all? I wonder if he's going, too.
Goodbye, Leela.
Oh, goodbye, Throckmorton.
I'll be waiting for your answer, Leela.
My answer? Oh, yes. Now, remember, you two, you're going to be good friends, and don't you dare open your present till Christmas, you hear?
Mrs. Ransom, the plane is waiting.
Oh, my goodness. I'm in such demand here, I hardly know what I'm doing.
Just come with me, please.
With you? Oh, you know, Captain, this is my first trip on a flying machine.
Captain, I'll bet he's not even a sergeant.
Have a pleasant trip, Leela.
Yes, she will.
Well, there she goes.
Yeah, she'll soon be 5,000 feet in the air.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, dearie me. Now, isn't that too bad?
What?
Something I forgot to give her.
Huh?
Your Christmas present for Leela. I'm still carrying.
Oh!
The great Gildersleeve will be with us again in just a few seconds. You know, nowadays, it's really a homemaker's duty to see that her family gets the right kind of foods. Yes, and it's just as much her duty to keep her food budget in line. Well, there's one important food that helps you do both these jobs. And that food is economical Parquet margarine, the delicious, nutritious spread for bread made by Kraft. Parquet margarine is one of the kinds of foods that our government recommends for good nutrition. That's because it's so wholesome and nourishing. Actually, Parquet is one of the best energy foods you can serve. What's more, every pound of Parquet margarine contains 9,000 units of vitamin A, making it a really dependable source of this important vitamin the year round. Economical Parquet, you know, is widely known as the margarine that tastes so deliciously good. So why not start serving it to your family tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow, sure. Ask your food dealer for Parquet, P-A-R-K-A-Y. Parquet, the delicious vegetable margarine made by Kraft. Now let's see what's happened to the great Gildersleeve. After a frantic 3-hour battle in Hogan Brothers department store, he bursts out of the store with his arms full of bundles and his hat over his ear.
Christmas. There ought to be a law against Christmas.
Oh, there, Gildersleeve. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Dr. Pettibone. If you see anything the matter with me, please keep it to yourself till after the holidays.
But you're looking fine, old man. I was going to remark on it.
Oh, do you think so?
Never saw you looking better. Maybe those old arteries are beginning to soften for a change.
Pettibone, I'm in no mood for the humor of the dissection room.
Oh, come, Gildersleeve. A cheery smile will do more for your digestion than all the Epsom salts in the world. Come on, Gildersleeve. Let me hear you say ha-ha.
Ha-ha.
Oh. You can do better than that. Come on. Ha-ha-ha-ha. That's better.
Yeah.
That's enough now. That's fine. Just keep smiling, and your gastric juices will thank you.
My goodness. Let me see now. I got a present for everybody except Judge Hooker. That's fine. Well, hi, George. It's beginning to feel like Christmas. Yeah. Hooker. Da-da-da-dee-da-dee-da. Well, I wonder if I should break down and get Hooker a present. After what he pulled on me this afternoon, I know, but maybe he really did forget to give Leela that package. After all, this is Christmas. No time to bear a grudge. He isn't going to give me a present, though. I heard him say so. Yeah, but you can't trust him, Gildersleeve. He's just sneaky enough to go and do it. I could give him a little present, not a very good one. I could stop in here and get him something kind of cheap at the drugstore. I think I will.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas just like you were. Oh, hello, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Hello, Peavy. I didn't know that you were musically inclined, Peavy.
Well, no, I wouldn't go so far as to say that. I do find myself humming a tune occasionally when I'm alone here in the shop.
Oh, you know what they say. It's music makes the world go round. Or is it love?
Did you ever listen to this fellow Crosby, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Crosby? Oh, yes, yeah.
Quite a singer.
One of the best. As a matter of fact, I've been compared to him once. Well, I was.
Usually I like to listen to him on Thursday night. So does Mrs. Peavy.
Oh, Mrs. Peavy's a music lover, too, huh?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, one of the things I'm giving her for Christmas is an album of records. Selections by John Philip Sousa.
Yes.
He happened to be playing at the Steel Pier when we were on our honeymoon.
Oh. Well, between Crosby and Sousa, you can't go wrong. Hey, maybe you can help me out, Peavy. I came here to find a Christmas present.
Oh, something for a friend?
Well, I don't know that he's a friend, but I got to get him something.
Well, I dare say we can find something suitable, Mr. Gildersleeve. Now, let's see.
It doesn't have to be too suitable.
Well, what sort of thing does your friend like?
He doesn't even have to like it. It just has to be a present.
Well, that makes it rather difficult. If you could give me some idea.
Well, I'll tell you. I'm buying it for Judge Hooker.
Judge Hooker? Well, it's a small world, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Oh, is it, Peavy?
Would you believe it? Judge Hooker was in here not over an hour ago selecting a present for you.
Oh, so this is the kind of place he comes to buy me presents, is it?
I think you have a pleasant surprise in store for you, Mr. Gildersleeve. This gift is not the sort of thing you'd expect to find in a drugstore.
I'd like to know anything you wouldn't expect to find in a drugstore. Tell me, Peavy, what did he buy me?
Oh, well, no, I'm afraid I couldn't tell you that. Professional ethics, you know.
But I want to know how good a present to buy him. At least you can tell me how much it cost.
No, but I believe I can say without betraying any confidence that it was under $5.
Good. Yeah, now we're getting someplace. What have you got for an old goat that costs less than $5?
Well, I've got a special on a fountain pen set here. You see, it says double-barreled, self-filling, iridium point, streamlined lucite case, special patented clip, indestructible, guaranteed to last till eternity.
Is it any good?
It's all right. You can't expect everything for $3.98.
Yes. You say it's guaranteed to last till eternity. Well, how long is that? 10 years?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that.
5 years?
If you don't drop it. Of course, if you don't care for the fountain pen, I have other things. I have an 8-day clock here, but the thing about that is...
I know. You have to wind it too often. Now, I'll take the fountain pen. May not last forever, but neither will Hooker.
I suppose you'd like it wrapped as a gift.
Wrapped as a gift? What does that mean?
Take the price tag off.
Oh, yeah, wait a minute. Does this pen cost more than the present the judge is giving me, or less?
Well, the pen is slightly more expensive.
Then leave the tag on it. I'll just take it as it is. Charge that, will you, Peavy? Hogan Brothers got all my money.
Well, glad to, Mr. Gildersleeve. I hope you have a Merry Christmas.
Same to you, Peavy, and the same to Mrs. Peavy. You know, Leroy, maybe it's this green bulb that's making the trouble.
It do look a little tired.
Why don't you unscrew the bulb and stick the screwdriver in there?
Oh, never do that, my boy. You could blow out every fuse in the house. Besides, you can get a nasty shock that way.
Well, that's what the electrician did when he fixed the lights last year. I saw him.
Well, those electrician fellows are immune to electricity. Let me have that other bulb there, will you, Bertie?
Yes, sir. You know, Mr. Gildersleeve, when my vacuum cleaner starts acting up, I got a sure cure for it.
Well, a vacuum cleaner is not like a light circuit, Bertie.
Well, maybe not, but to me, all them electrical things is about the same. Goes in there and comes out here, and you better stay out of the way.
Well, the trouble here doesn't appear to be the green bulb. What is your cure, Bertie?
Well, sir, I pull the plug out, and I turn it around, and I shake the bag 3 times and put the plug back. It ain't never failed yet.
Well, we've tried everything else.
Yes, I can remember when we didn't bother with these electrical gadgets on Christmas trees. We just used candles. Set the house on fire every year, but it was a lot simpler. Go ahead and let's try your system, Bertie.
All right. Stand back, Leroy. Now, pull the plug, turn it around, shake the cord. 1, 2, 3. Put the plug back.
Well, I'll be. Bertie, you're a genius. Marjorie, come on in and see the beautiful tree.
Oh, it's beautiful. Let's turn off all the other lights and see how it looks.
Hey, that's super.
Oh, it's lovely. Isn't it, Uncle Mort?
Yes, it is. It's lovely.
That's the prettiest tree I ever saw in my life. Reminds me of the World's Fair.
Well, it's not as big a tree as we've had other years, but when you think of all the people who aren't going to have any Christmas tree at all this year.
You know what gets me? Every year, Uncle Mort says, well, don't expect much this year, kids. We're going to have to cut down and just have a very small Christmas.
I know.
And every year seems like there's more presents than ever.
Oh, Uncle Mort, you've been so good to us. You've been like Santa Claus and Daddy and our favorite uncle, all rolled into one.
Yeah, you're a swell, Unc.
Now.
I made some of them Christmas cookies special for you, Mr. Gildersleeve. Shall I bring them in?
Well, I can't think of a better time for Christmas cookies than right now, Bertie.
I'll go get them.
Yeah, cookies. I think I'm going to like this Christmas.
Hey, Unc, can we open just one present? Can we, huh?
Well, don't you think you ought to wait till Christmas, my boy?
Oh, but you always let us open just one. I'll pick a little one.
Well, all right then. Just a little one.
Come on, Marge. You pick one of yours and I'll pick one of mine.
Now, let's see what you got first.
Gee, thanks, Unc. A war bond. Just what I needed.
Not what you needed, maybe, but what the country needed. I know it may be something of a disappointment to you.
No, I think it's swell. I don't care if I didn't get a model P-47 with a motor in it.
Well, it may mean that somebody else will get a real P-47 with a real motor in it. You have to think of that, my boy.
Yeah, I just wish I was the fellow who's going to fly it, that's all. Open yours, Marge. Let's see what you got.
I think I know. Is it, Uncle Mort?
Well, you open it and see.
You remembered.
What you got there, Miss Marjorie?
Every year he gives me one. Listen. Oh, it's a darling one. I love music boxes, and I love Christmas. Merry Christmas, Uncle Mort.
Merry Christmas, my dear. Who's that?
I'll go. Maybe it's Santa Claus. Well, for goodness sake, come in, Judge.
Good evening, Bertie. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, Judge.
Hello, Leroy.
Hi.
Hello, Marjorie.
Merry Christmas, Judge.
Would you be good enough to ask your uncle, Marjorie, whether he's in?
Ask the judge whether he's blind.
Oh, so that's your attitude. Well, you may recall, Throckmorton, that we gave a certain lady our promise that during her absence we would be friends.
Yes, I recall it vaguely.
Well, I, for one, am a man of my word. It's customary for friends to exchange tokens this holiday season. For that reason, and for no other, I have brought you a slight gift. Here.
Oh. Well, now that you mention it, I have one for you. There.
Throckmorton. You old son of a gun.
Yeah. Horace, you old goat, you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. By George, now it is a Merry Christmas.
Throckmorton, what do you say we open each other's presents, huh?
Okay. Let's do it.
I just can't wait. Oh. That everlasting fountain pen.
Ooh, that 8-day clock.
Throckmorton, I think Brother Peavy unloaded something on us.
Well, now, I wouldn't say that. On behalf of the Kraft Cheese Company and the cast of our program, I'd like to wish all of our listeners a very Merry Christmas and the happiest possible New Year. There are many of us for whom it'll be difficult to be merry this Christmas, with loved ones far away and families divided. But let's try to keep up the Christmas tradition for the sake of the men who are fighting to preserve it. And to those men also fighting in foxholes and slit trenches, on the sea and in the air, north, east, south, and west, we also send our Christmas good wishes. God bless you all. Good night, everybody.
Original music heard on this program was composed and conducted by Billy Mills. This is Ken Carpenter speaking to the makers of Kraft Cheese and inviting you to tune in again next week for the further adventures of the great Gildersleeve.
You lovers of macaroni and cheese will get a thrill out of the new-fashioned way of making this grand dish with Kraft Dinner. A package of Kraft Dinner contains special macaroni which cooks up fluffy and tender in just 7 minutes. And the Kraft Dinner package also contains some Kraft Grated, which supplies the grand cheese flavor. You just boil the Kraft Dinner macaroni for 7 minutes, drain it, and stir in the Kraft Grated. Your macaroni and cheese is ready to serve. Now, because Kraft Dinner is so simple to make, so good and so economical, it has become tremendously popular throughout the country. So popular, in fact, that sometime a dealer's supply is exhausted by the end of the week. You can help your dealer and yourself, too, by ordering Kraft Dinner early in the week. Then you'll have it on the pantry shelf, ready for grand macaroni and cheese you cook in 7 minutes. This program reached you from Hollywood. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
This is Chesterton Radio, the true, good, and beautiful at chestertonradio.com.
Don't turn that dial. This is the right station if you want to hear about Jonathan Thomas and his Christmas on the Moon. Have you been listening to Jonathan Thomas and heard how well he's been keeping his promise? You know, he's been looking for poor Santa Claus because the Squeebobliums, who broke all the laws, kidnapped poor old Santa and hid him away. And they've looked for him now for days and days. That is Jonathan Thomas and the Man in the Moon and Gorgonzola the horse. And they must find him soon, because if they don't, it's really quite clear we just won't have any Christmas this year. Now, the good fairy queen, she gave them a charm which she said would be sure to keep them from harm. 'Twas a wonderful acorn that they had to take through the nightmare forest to keep them awake. For the nightmare forest is dark and deep, and they'd never wake up if they went to sleep. Well, they reached the forest, you remember well, and then they fell under the witch's spell. For a little white squirrel named Whiskery Bill just wouldn't behave, and he teased until poor Jonathan Thomas fell off of his horse, and then he went sound asleep, of course. Then Whiskery Bill, he cried and he cried. And he said, it's my fault, and I'd sooner have died than hurt Jonathan Thomas, but now it's too late. But the good fairy queen said, no, it is fate, because if you find a red, red rose and hold it close to the little boy's nose, he'll wake up again. It's quite, quite true. But to find the rose will be up to you. So away he went in a terrible hurry, and he slipped and he slid and was all in a flurry till he met a kind walrus who said, I'll help you out. I'll just go along. I can help you, no doubt. So he did. But their hard luck was double, for the wicked old witch was bound she'd make trouble. But they found the red rubies, and the bush grew the rose, and at last they arrived in the forest so deep and awoke Jonathan Thomas from his long, long sleep. They were soon on their way, the travelers three, bound that they'd set poor Santa Claus free. But they soon met a lion who asked them to dine when they named him Ojigrath, which he thought very fine. And now let's see how they're getting along. Oh, my goodness, I hope nothing's wrong.
Oh, I'm much full of 3 times 3. I've never eaten such a good dinner as that one was, Mr. Ojigrath.
Oh, you're very kind, my little man. And now, if you've eaten all that you can, I'll show you a bed where you can lay your head.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ojigrath. But we haven't time to stop. We must hurry like 60 or 70 or 80 to the land of Squibubble to rescue Santa Claus.
Well, I'll give you fair warning. You'd best wait until morning and not travel when it's dark. For it's not such a lark to stumble and fall, and that's not all. But I don't know which is worse than which. The terror of night, with its horrible fright, or the doings of that wicked old witch.
Well, we'll just have to take our chances.
Well, you should wait, 'cause it's late. But if you've made up your mind, and since you've been very kind, I'll give you a gift you can take.
You've already given us our dinner, Mr. Ojigrath.
But just the same, you've given me my name, and now I'll help you out with a secret or two and some things you can do to put that old witch plumb to rout.
That would be very nice, if you please, Mr. Ojigrath.
Sometimes that old witch drives me crazy.
Well, she even makes me a bit sore. But she's afraid of my roar. It frightens her out of her socks. So I've packed up a few, and I'll give them to you. I've put them in this little box.
Do you mean some roars?
Oh, yes. And you can't guess how she'll quickly run clear out of sight. I don't know why, but she'll scream and she'll cry. My roars always give her a fright. I only wish I had more. I could spare only 4, but that's enough to make things pretty hot.
But how do we use them, if you please, Mr. Ojigrath?
Well, when you see her coming, you needn't start in running, but stand right there till she lands from the air, and then open the box and throw them like rocks. Just 1 or 2, of course, not all of the 4. And she'll run, and she'll shriek, and be scared for a week. She always does when she hears my roar.
That's very nice of you, Mr. Ojigrath. And it'll be quite a laugh to show that old witch a thing or two.
I should say so.
We're pleased to have met you. And now we'll be on our way.
Well, I wish you success, and I guess all the rest. And I hope you have a good trip. And be careful of things such as camels with wings. And be sure not to make a slip.
We'll try, Mr. Ojigrath. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, here we go through the ice and the snow, and we're in a hurry because there'll be no cheer, no Christmas this year if we don't find Santa Claus. So, Gorgonzola, giddy up, Gorgonzola dandy, and with your speed be very fast, and with your feet be handy.
And so they went and went and went and went, until their strength was nearly spent, until they came to a deep, dark wood, and they thought some rest might do them some good. So they stopped their horse, Gorgonzola, of course, and they got off and walked around. And then they sat to have a chat on a giant toadstool they had found.
Oh, my gracious, I'm so tired. Oh, I think a little bit sleep.
Jiminy Crickets, don't go to sleep. You did that once, and it took us a week to wake you up.
Oh, you needn't worry, if you please. I will go to sleep. I just said I so kind of sleepy.
Well, sleep's cheap. Then go to sleep. Don't sit around and grouse.
Who said that?
And if you had the manners of a mouse, you wouldn't sit on a person's house.
My goodness, we're not sitting on anybody's house.
You are too, if you only knew. And I'll ask you to get right off. Well, don't sit there and stare. My house is no chair. And this is no matter to laugh.
Oh, look, Mr. Man in the Moon. It's a little elf. And you shouldn't say laugh, Mr. Elf. You should say laugh.
It's laugh, if I please. And you may stop and tease. I'll say whatever I wish. And you ought to be ashamed of yourself, you ignorant fish, because I am not just a little elf.
Well, who on earth are you then?
His Majesty, the King of any old thing. And I'll ask you to be more polite, or I'll teach you to see that I'm big enough for me, you impertinent, impudent sprite.
Oh, we beg your pardon, Your Majesty, but we didn't know that Toadstool was your house.
And, boy, if you'd looked, you'd have saw.
Not have saw, Your Majesty, if you please, but have seen.
Just keep it up, and you'll start a scene. I'll talk as I please, and I'll whistle and sneeze. And if you don't like it, get out, or I'll call for a cop, and then you'll soon stop. And all I need do is to shout.
You're not very nice. You're awfully grouchy, too, for such a little thing.
I'll have you know that I am the king, and jumping goldfish and 7 years each. Run for your lives. It's the wicked old witch. Call out the guards. Roll the drums. Everybody hide, for here she comes.
Quick, Jonathan Thomas, give me the box. We'll throw a lion's roar at her. And we'll see if Mr. O'Jigraph was right.
The best you can do is get out of sight.
Well, how do you do? It looks like I've caught up with you. I told you and warned you you'd better turn back. But seems that it's wisdom and good sense that you lack. So now, I guess I'll keep my promise. I've come to get you, Jonathan Tommy.
But you're not going to get me, though, you wicked old witch.
And you'd better go right back to Rumpelstiltskin.
You foolish one. You'll rue your words when I am done. Oh, yes. There's still another thing. I've also come after the Elfin King.
You better throw it, Mr. Man on the Moon.
Watch this, Jonathan Thomas. 1 for the money and 2 for the show. 3 to get ready, and here I go.
Help, help! Oh, stop, I say. That's no way for you to play.
And here goes another one.
Oh, I can't stand such things. As I said, it bothers my head. One ear is deaf, and the other one sings. Help!
By Jiminy Crickets, and look at her go. Mr. O'Jigraph was right, for he told us so. My goodness to gracious, she's good and sore, or she can't stand a lion's roar.
It's a good thing she can't, too. Or she would have got me and gobbled me up. Oh, I'm glad she's been. Where did His Majesty go, Mr. Man in the Moon?
I don't know.
She's gone.
Of course she has.
Well, bless my hat. Thank you for that. Oh, such nicey rice is too much strife. And thanks to you, you saved my life.
Oh, gee, well, it wasn't anything.
It's quite a lot to save a king. And now, I'm mighty glad you stayed, and just for that you'll both be paid, and richly too, both you and you. Just name your price, and in a trice you'll have it before you can count up to 2.
Well, now, sounds like Jonathan Thomas and the Man in the Moon are in luck for once. For all elf kings are magic, you know. And maybe this one will have something to help them go to the land of Squeebobble. Oh, I hope so, don't you? I wonder what they'll ask for. Well, I guess we'll find out in the next story of Jonathan Thomas and his Christmas on the Moon. So don't forget to listen, will you? I won't.
You were listening to Chesterton Radio at chestertonradio.com.
Frank Morgan in Names on the Land on the Cavalcade of America, sponsored by the DuPont Company, maker of better things for better living through chemistry. But first, here is Gain Whitman.
One of the most inspiring things about Christmas is the way it brings us together in our thoughts. Under the sparkling lights of the Christmas tree, the family in California and the family in Maine are thinking much the same thoughts this evening, feeling the same pleasure and tenderness, the same goodwill. And the men and women of the DuPont Company derive a little extra joy from the thought that many of the things which add pleasure to your Christmas are made possible or made better by chemistry. We find in such a thought the broader meaning of the DuPont phrase, better things for better living through chemistry.
Frank Morgan appears through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer and is one of the stars of the MGM picture Yolanda and the Thief. The DuPont Company presents Names on the Land, starring Frank Morgan as the train conductor on the Cavalcade of America. Millions of lights twinkle on the Christmas trees tonight in the little towns across our land, which are home to the people who live there. And there are many, many Americans who are at home in those little towns this Christmas Eve for the first time in long, weary years. The names of some of those towns are as familiar as the morning newspaper, and some you've probably never heard of. So, this first peacetime Christmas Eve, the Cavalcade of America takes you on an imaginary train ride, swooping all over the country, seeking out the names of places which stand for home in such a special way tonight. The Names on the Land. Frank Morgan, your conductor on tonight's mythical train ride, will not only call out the stopping places, but in addition will tell you how some of the names actually came into being. How where you're going got that way.
Board!
Where's this train go, mister?
Oh, this train follows old St. Nick tonight. Goes everywhere, you see. A steamed-up alphabetical train that runs from A to Z. Alisal, Bangor, Cairo, Deal, El Paso, Fiddletown, Great Salt Lake, Happy Creek, or Igo. Jackass Gulch, Knife Creek, Lover's Leap, or Mudville. Neversink, oh no, Pigeon Roost, or Quack Hill. Rabbit's Ear, Seekonk, Tickle Naked, Unwag, Birdalow, or why not, X-Ray, Yonkers, Zigzag.
Screamerville, that's where I'm going. Sure you heard of that.
Excuse me, lady. I haven't got much time to stand around and chat. But before I let you on this train, now don't be highfalutin. Did you give that there town its name?
Screamerville! You're darn tootin'.
Okay, lady. That's what I figured. Step lightly up inside. Don't need no ticket. You've named the town. That's the price of a ride. This train goes down the alphabet from Abbeville to Zion. And if we don't hit your town, 'twon't be for lack of trying. The men and women on this train are here for just one reason. They've wandered up and down our land, both in and out of season, exploring it and founding towns and giving each a name that's stuck down through the years and brought each place its fame. They'll tell you when and how and why, each of his own accord. And now we're ready for the letter A. As I said before, a name of renown, and A's for Altadena, a name jotted down by a real estate agent. He wanted to sell many acres of land. Then there's Alice Hell, named for a lady. But this train's first pause is at Animas, just on account of because.
Animas? That's my stuff. Though I don't much want to get off here. Once was enough.
Your business, sir?
Retired now. Was a cowboy then. Was with a Mexican friend of mine riding over some of the hottest and driest country this side of, you know where.
Yeah.
Was looking for water, of course. When we finally found some, we found something else, too.
Amigo, you see what I see?
Looks like a creek.
Yeah, looks as though we're not the first to find this water, amigo.
Skeletons. 2 of them. Been here some time, I judge.
Look at those pistols. They've been here for over 100 years under the sun. These two men, amigo, I do not have envy for them, nor for their souls. Where was the priest to say a Hail Mary for them, huh?
Well, if it's any harder where their souls are than it is right here.
It is harder, amigo. Well, at least we can pay a little honor to these two, huh? We call this place El Rio de las Animas Perdidas en Purgatorio.
What's all that mean?
Well, animus means souls. The river of the souls lost in purgatory.
Okay. I'll just call it Animas.
B's the next stop. Tonight, especially, B stands for Bethlehem. But B also stands for Bangor and Back Bay, Barnegat and Baton Rouge, Beebe and Bear Wallow, Big Shot and Bird in Hand, Bogus Thunder and Bosque Dell, Brandy Gulch and Bridal Veil, Butcher Knife and Bunker Hill, Brooklyn and Bloody Point. Bloody Point? Say, that's the place where two strong men stood face to face and swore and shouted and waved their hands as to what divided their two lands.
Boundary's the brook.
Boundary's that patch other side of the brook.
I said it's the brook, and so does my sword.
Sword, is it? Oh, I'll give you your sword and fight you barehanded and trim you, too.
Well, go on, then. Start something.
You can be sure I'll finish it, too.
Well, then go on.
Well, cross that line.
What line?
That one there. Cross it, and I'll show you what's what.
Derry knocked this chip off my shoulder. I'll cross that line all right and fast, too.
Well, I will knock the chip off if you're not careful.
Well, why don't you?
Well, I will when I'm ready.
Well, go on.
Well, I will. Don't worry.
Talked big, they did, and yelled and frowned, but no drop of blood ever stained the ground. Their neighbors grinned and christened the joint. To honor the combat, it's called Bloody Point.
Stands for Christmas.
Christmas?
Yep, stands for Christmas, Florida, and Christmas, Arizona, too.
It does, huh? Well, can't stop there.
What? How come?
Well, not tonight, son. It's too soon. Besides, think how busy they are in those towns just answering mail tonight. Hundreds of thousands of letters.
But, Mr. Conductor...
This train will stop there, son, but not till midnight. C stands for Chili Gulch and Chimney Peak. C stands for Christian Flat and Chippeke's Creek. It's Chucklehead Diggins and Cold Kid Creek. It's Chicopee, China, and Cottonwood Creek. It's Currahee Mountain and Cutthroat Bar. It's Crazy Smith's Hill and Climbing Star. It's Cicero. It's Cato. It's Cairo and Clio. Next stop, D.
There's not many towns that begin with D.
Excuse me, ma'am, if I disagree. There's Della Rosa, Darrington, Danville, Dallas, Devil's Den, Downs, Sockham-2, and Darrison, Dial, Dayton, Dome, and Duxon. Yes, plenty of towns that begin with D, where folks are trimming their Christmas tree. There's Dutch Flat, too, and there's Dogdemona. There's Diggers's 100, Dry, and Distoma.
You make it very difficult.
Difficult? Now, let me see. Yes, sir. That's another that begins with D.
Difficult? Did I hear you all say difficult? That's where I get off.
You name that town?
Well, I'm afraid maybe. You see, I was postmaster of our town, and it didn't have no name at all. Well, sir, the boys around the store, the general store, we all got together and figured out a grand name.
Yeah, what was it?
Oh, I wouldn't dare try to pronounce it. Here is a long, fine-sounding name tucked in the Indians that used to live around our neighborhood. So, anyways, we wrote the share letter down, the name of the town, piece of paper, all neat and pretty, and sent it to Washington to get official approval. 2 weeks or so go by, and big official envelope come back. It's our answer.
Addressed to you, John. Go on, tear it open.
Sure looks official, don't it? That's a right big envelope.
No, now don't go on talking about it. Open it.
Well, I'm a-going to.
What's it say?
Not so fast. I'm a-reading it.
Well?
Well, it says here that there's some right smart long words in the share letter.
Well, read it.
Well, from what I see here, First, it says they reject our suggestion for a name for the town.
Reject? Fine talk.
They go on and they say here, the name suggested for your town is difficult.
Difficult? Difficult?
Seems funny, don't it? Ooh, that's what it says here, though. The name suggested for your town is difficult.
Huh.
Well, government's government. Difficult, they say it is, and difficult, Tennessee, it'll be.
Passengers for E, F, or G, but I'll give you a kind of potpourri. I'll identify 'em as we go by 'em. Let's see. That's Eden we're now passing through.
Took an advertising man to propose it.
This was called Enola after much ado.
Spells alone if you transpose it.
Next on the E line is 84.
For the date when it was founded.
And here's Elmonica. What's that name for?
They just like the way it sounded.
Here's the F line. Sure enough, here comes the F line. Whole string of towns begin with F, whose names got quotability, like Funny Louie, Frying Pan, Flyaway, Fertility. They're hanging their stockings in Finnegan's Lane, where the frost left its mark on the window pane. In Foxborough...
Mr. Conductor, here we come to the G's, and there's one town I'll name, if you please.
Young lady, I hereby name you a committee of one to tell us the name of your city.
Gene Autry, Oklahoma, we call our town, named after the cowboy of great renown.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Now just go up there, take a seat, and sit while I cogitate on the next letter in the alphabet. H, huh? Well, that shouldn't be so hard. Let's see. I've got it. Hey, ain't I a card? This program comes to you as a Christmas program should from the NBC studios out in Hollywood.
Listening to Frank Morgan as the conductor in Names on the Land on the Cavalcade of America, sponsored by the DuPont Company. Maker of better things for better living through chemistry. And now all our passengers are once more aboard our Christmas train. The steam pressure is up, and we're off on the second leg of our swift journey across America on this peacetide Christmas Eve.
If this alphabetical train of ours is ever to get to Z, we've got to cut down the repartee and also the fiddly-dee. Should you ask me what I stands for, ask which towns start with this letter, I will answer you in trochees, suited best for Indian powwow, paying tribute to the red man, first to name our hills and rivers, name our states and towns and mountains, such as Idaho and Illinois, and Itchipocasasa, Indian Creek and Indian Bottom, these and also Indianapolis. Also, till I stand corrected, 'twas a red man named Itasca, named it and...
You stand corrected, sir.
How's that?
The word Itasca is no Indian word.
Oh, your name, sir?
Schoolcraft, sir. Henry R. Schoolcraft. The fact of the matter is, sir, that I and a friend of mine, the Reverend William T. Boutwell, being both of us in a canoe, and both in search of the headwaters of the Mississippi, came to a lake called by the Indians Omushkos, or in our tongue, Elk Lake.
Elk.
Yes. Having decided that this lake was the true source of the Mississippi, the Reverend Mr. Boutwell suggested he was a Latin scholar, sir. Suggested that this lake was the Veritas Caput.
Caput?
A Latin phrase, which being translated roughly means...
True source?
Exactly. It was I who then ingeniously, if I may say so, clip the head off the first word, the tail off the second, and arrive thusly at...
I know, Itasca.
Precisely.
On behalf of the letter J, introducing a former president named Jefferson and a former president named Jackson. Okay, gentlemen.
Well, sir, counting all the Jeffersons, the Jefferson cities, the Jefferson barracks, the Jefferson junctions, and Jeffersonvilles, I make it 41 times that my name has been put to a town or city in this fair country.
41? A nice number for a beginner. Me, I got 53 towns and cities named after me. Jackson's my name.
Excuse me, gentlemen. What were you discussing?
Just figuring who has more towns named after him, Jefferson or Jackson. Appears as though I won out okay. 53.
53? Why, sir, I was never a president, but there are 58 towns named after me.
Yeah, and what, pray tell, sir, is your name?
John, sir. Just plain John.
All passengers for Kanaka, KC, Careless Knob, Kill Creek, Kind Woman's Care, and Kittatinny, change here, chums. That is, if you want to get home before Santa Claus comes. Next stop, Kansas City.
Kansas City? That's me. Let me off.
Hold on, young man. One moment, please. Your story first. How'd you name this town?
Well, in 1838, this was only a piece of land and a general store, and there was maybe a dozen others got together after we bought this land and the ferry landing where the Corps comes into the Missouri. Place me wet was in One-Eyed Ellis's general store.
Gentlemen, a little order, please. Any more suggestions for the name of our town?
Well, how about calling it Rabbitsville?
A serious suggestion.
All right, if that ain't serious enough, how about Possum Trot? Hey, wait a minute. The Coral River enters into the Missouri just a piece upstream. Why don't we call the place Call's Mouth? It's a rare, pretty name, and it's historical, and it goes back to the old Indian name.
Original Indian name wasn't Call. Original Indian name was Kansas. What's wrong with that for a name? We're going to have a city here before we know it, and our move, we call it Kansas City.
All passengers for Ladies Canyon, Laughing Gal, Lazy Lady, Louse Creek, and Movie Star. Change at third depot. All passengers for Milk Punch, Mud Creek, Minnehaha, and Murderer's Bar. Change here to hang your mistletoe. Now, Man, Cow Rock, and Morgantown. Morgantown? Well, there's a place of great renown. I can tell you how it got its name. It was an ancestor of mine of tremendous fame. My grandfather, Lewiston Boone Morgan. All right. Now we come to the letter N, to Naked Mountain and Airy Red, to Nether Hundred and Never Sink, to Nicodemus and Nipple Butte, to Nonsuch and Notch Log, to Newport. Newport? Well, that's my town, Newport, Texas. You named it? Well, sort of. Kind of. You see, in my town, when we were starting it, there were 7 of us. The other 6 all wanted it named after them.
Well, shoot the light.
Name it after anybody but me.
My name's the old...
Who was here first? That's all I ask. Who was here first?
Mine's short.
Quiet, the lot of you. I got an idea, fellas. Now, look here. Your name's Norman, and yours is Ezel.
Well, that's right.
Yours is Welch, and yours is Pruitt, and yours is Owsley, and yours is Riker.
Yeah.
And yours is Turner, right?
Sure.
All right, now. You take the first letters of each name, and what you got? You got Newport. I done figured it out. That's a nice name. Name of our town is Newport. And now we come to letter O.
Oh, gee, mister, must we go?
Well, sis, we can pause just now and then, but weren't you through with friendly N?
No. N stands for North Pole and for Northland. That's where Santa lives, I understand. And Santa's little people. Don't you remember? They worked so hard for the month of December.
Absolutely.
absolutely right, Mr. Conductor. You mean to say you forgot all about the Northland and Santa Claus' workshop at the North Pole? Think back a bit. Don't you recall Santa's little people at their workbenches all day and all night, making toys and painting dolls? Come on now, Mr. Conductor, you remember them, working under those north lights and the little people singing while they work.
Here we go in the snow, making games and toys, coaxing sleds and dolly beds for good little girls and boys.
Of course, thanks for reminding me. Merry Christmas to you.
Thanks, and Merry Christmas to you, too.
Oxy Boxy is our O and Pigsty is our P. And while we're at it, just to show that Q's no absentee, here's Quoquinapasacessamanagnog. You a gog? I am too. R stands for rabbit's ears and rattle and snap, and also for Richville, the poorest town on the map. And honors for the town where a preacher named Dow gave a sermon that led to reform, and how. Reform they did and reform it became. And that's how the town of Reform got its name. S. Next stop, the letter S.
S is for Centerville. Lay out.
Gladly, madam, gladly. No need to shout. And S stands for something else, too. S stands for...
Strange Creek.
Strange Creek. Who are you?
My name is Strange. I'm a surveyor. Years ago, more years than man can number, I separated from my companions and was lost in the forest. Years later, more years than man can number, I was found 40 miles from where I'd last been seen. My bones beneath a great beech tree. My rifle leaned against the trunk, the shot pouch still dangling. And then read in the tree's smooth bark the words I'd cut with a knife. Strange is my name and I'm on strange ground. And strange it is I can't be found.
Stands for a town down in Texas. Total population of 20. They'll thank you to smother your sneers. For this town, 20 is plenty. On Pearl Harbor Day, its name was Tokyo. Today, its name is still Tokyo.
My name is Mrs. Ara Green. I'm assistant postmaster of Tokyo, Texas. People used to write and ask, well, we're going to change the name of our town. Well, our aim in the war was to change the other Tokyo, not this one.
Any passengers for you? Any passengers for you Cross, you Sona, Utica, Utopia? Any passengers for V? Any passengers for Vereen, Vernal Fall, Vive, Voca?
Say, conductor.
Yes?
I'm getting off here.
Well, you better be careful. The snow's pretty deep.
Won't bother me, sir. Merry Christmas.
Donna and Blitzen, wonder who that is. As if I didn't know. To Wallabout, Want Water, The Wart, to Woo Sung, Whiskey Bar, Wolf Pit, to Why Not.
You say why not?
Why not?
That's me. My town's why not.
Well, how come it's Why Not?
Why not?
Oh, go away. Xerxes and Xena and Xenia twice, and believe it or not, X-ray. And, or did you guess, by special decree, Xmas. Now we've finished the X's, 6 must suffice. Blow the whistle. We're on our way. This train is at its next to last stop. We've come to the letter Y. A century ago, a man named a name. He's here now to tell you why.
It was March of 1851, and I was acting as interpreter for a band of California mounted militia chasing some hostile Indians up into the Sierra Nevadas. Well, toward the close of day, we come suddenly to the brink of a chasm, its immensity magnified by the shadows and mists. As I looked, a peculiar, exalted sensation seemed to fill my whole being, and I said to one man, "We should give this valley a name."
A name?
Yeah, christen it.
Well, maybe you're right at that.
Well, what's your idea for a name? Something out of the Bible?
Yeah, something romantic?
Something Spanish sounding?
No, I'd suggest an Indian name.
An Indian name? Are you crazy? Why should we name it after the guys we're chasing?
Let's call it Paradise Valley.
but I made a motion for them to vote on. The only name we could yet associate with the place, the name of the Indians whom we'd pursued to this magnificent spot. We called the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay?
Nay.
Well, the ayes have it. This valley will be called the Yosemite.
The Bible tells the tale of Lot who fled from sin and greed. Men of goodwill in later days sought haven for their creed. They built their town in wilderness, named it from Bible law. The sun was risen in the earth when first they entered Zor. So our train's gone down the alphabet from Animas to Zor. We stopped as often as we could, wish we could have more. In most of the towns we've managed to get to, and in most of the ones we had to forget, too, the men have returned. Best possible Christmas present, so far as we're all concerned. Well, ring the bell. This Christmas train shuffs off the air in just 4 minutes flat. Time left to hang our mistletoe and let it go at that. We hope you liked America, wrapped up in tinsel bright. To each one, Merry Christmas, and to all, a fond good night.
Our star, Frank Morgan, will return to our cavalcade microphone in a moment. Now, here is Gene Whitman.
There was a star. What was more, it was a new star. It sparkled there in the clear blue night sky like a diamond lamp. Anybody could see it. There it was for everybody to see. But only a few men who looked up and saw it understood what it meant. Peace can be ours, they thought, recognizing its sign. And they went to make ready gifts to lay at the feet of the newborn babe who lay asleep in the manger. And because they knew what the star signified, we call them the wise men. We look at the world around us today and we ask, peace? Where is peace? And we are saddened, for we feel that the world can have peace only when there is peace in every man's heart. And that time is not yet. But people said much the same thing in the day of the 3 wise men. Only the wise men saw the star and recognized its meaning. There is the moral. We shall have peace when we become wise. We shall have peace when we become wise in dealing with our neighbors at home and our more remote neighbors across the sea. Wisdom is the star in the heavens to which we must turn this Christmas. In the words of a great American, with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right.
And now, here is Frank Morgan.
Well, we had a lot of fun tonight. I hope you did, too. Next week, for its New Year's Eve broadcast, Cavalcade has prepared for your pleasure a play of the Old West, a fast-moving, suspenseful tale of the early Texas cow country. Walter Brennan will be on hand as your star. Take a tip from me and plan now to set aside a half an hour in your evening to listen to 10 in Texas, starring Walter Brennan, on the DuPont Cavalcade of America. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Music for tonight's DuPont Cavalcade was composed and conducted by Robert Armbruster. The Cavalcade play was written by Peter and Jane Lyon and was based on the book Names on the Land by George Stewart.
This is Gane Whitman extending to you on this Christmas Eve warm and friendly holiday greetings for myself, for the artists, writers, and technicians who bring you Cavalcade each Monday night, and for all the men and women of the DuPont Company, makers of better things for better living through chemistry.
This is the National Broadcasting Company.
The shadow who aids the forces of law and order is in reality Lamont Cranston, wealthy young man about town. Years ago in the Orient, Cranston learned a strange and mysterious secret, the hypnotic power to cloud men's minds so they cannot see him. Cranston's friend and companion, the lovely Margot Lane, is the only person who knows to whom the voice of the invisible shadow belongs. Today's drama, A Gift of Murder. In late December, a fine flurry of snow is just beginning to fall from the darkening sky as a smartly dressed young woman knocks on the heavy door of Gerald Covington's country estate.
Miss Eva. Surprised to see me, Baxter? Delighted to see you, miss, and I know your brother will be overjoyed. Come in, come in. Mr. Gerald was saying only last week that he hoped you'd get back from Europe in time for the party tonight.
Party? Did you say party?
Yes, miss.
A party here?
A little gathering in keeping with this glad season.
As I remember Gerald, he considers all seasons equally glum.
I know, miss, but this, you see, is in honor of your Aunt Frances.
In honor of Aunt Frances? Do you mean to tell me that Gerald is giving a party for Aunt Frances?
Indeed, miss.
Why, where is he?
In the drawing room, trimming the Christmas tree.
Trimming the... This I've got to see. Gerald!
Eva! What a happy surprise, I can't tell you.
A Christmas tree.
Yes, I did it all myself.
And presents.
For your Aunt Frances. Is it so strange, Eva, that I should want our aunt to have a lovely tree?
Yes.
My dear Aunt Frances is 72 years old. We may not have her with us long.
Darling, last year she was 71, which isn't precisely adolescent. And all she got for Christmas was a dozen handkerchiefs and a cold in her head.
Well, this year, things are somewhat different.
So I noticed. Last time I was in touch with this little family circle, you and Clyde hated Aunt Frances like death and taxes.
You may speak for our brother Clyde, but as for me, I've always adored the dear old soul.
Really?
Really? Shall I show you what I have for her?
Do.
Look, an antique music box, the sort of thing she loves, and in solid gold. Isn't it charming? Listen. God bless ye, merry gentlemen.
Expensive item, I'd say.
I paid $500 for it, but nothing's too good for dear old Aunt Frances.
It isn't possible, is it, that Aunt Frances has come into money?
Well, that is...
She has.
Well, the truth is, an old admirer of hers, a Mr. Onslow Fraser, remembered her in his will.
How distinctly did he remember her, Gerald?
Quite distinctly, Eva. She's inheriting $1 million.
Oh. And when did you hear of this?
Only yesterday. Mr. Elcott, attorney, member of the firm of Elcott and Devine in Boston, brought us the news.
Now I see it all. The tree, the presents, the party. You're competing with Clyde for Aunt Frances's affection.
I am only trying to brighten the end of her life.
You are only trying to become the chief beneficiary of her will.
Nonsense. I'm quite sure I will be a beneficiary, as you will, Eva, though I doubt that Clyde will benefit very much, if at all.
Why not?
I'll tell you why not. It's amusing, really. Quite amusing. Day before yesterday, before Mr. Elcott appeared, of course, Clyde was unfortunate enough to have written me a certain letter.
Letter?
A letter, my dear, suggesting that we put Aunt Frances in an old woman's home.
No.
Yes. I have the fatal bit of correspondence, keeping it carefully. And when Aunt Frances lays eyes on it, I shouldn't be surprised if she cut Clyde out altogether.
And you're going to let her lay eyes on it, of course.
What do you think?
Does Clyde know you do?
Oh, my, yes. He's been on the phone for the past 2 days, begging and threatening my life by turns.
Clyde is not a man to let himself be pushed too far, Gerald.
I'll risk his wrath. I must go upstairs and wrap the music box for Aunt Frances. If the guests arrive, you'll greet them for me, won't you?
Who's coming?
Principally the family. Clyde and our dear aunt. And possibly the lawyer, Mr. Elcott.
Anyone else?
Just that young couple Aunt Frances is so fond of.
Mr. Cranston and Margot Lane.
Yes, she likes them. And it's my desire to please her, you know.
You bet I know.
I'll be down in a moment. Okay.
This white piece of paper, I think, will be fitting. And the bright red ribbon for the holiday touch. Who's that? Oh, come in. I'll be finished with this wrapping in a moment. There, now, I think this makes a very charming little gift, don't you? I said, don't you? I said...
We're not too early, are we, Lamont?
Well, Francis said 7. It's 7:15, Margaret.
Oh. The perfect night for a holiday party.
Perfect. Rolling snowflakes by special arrangement with the weatherman.
Just for Aunt Francis's sake.
Of course. What do you say we lend the scene the crowning touch of a Christmas carol before we make an entrance?
I'd be glad to try.
Very good, my lady. We shall fill the night with music. Of a sort. Me, 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 me.
Me, me.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay.
What was that?
Sounds as if something has someone very much dismayed.
Lamont.
Ring the bell.
Baxter.
Miss Lane, Mr. Cranston. What's the matter? You ought to have seen a ghost.
Not a ghost, sir. A corpse. Mr. Gerald has been murdered.
Gerald.
When did this happen?
Not 5 minutes ago, sir, Mr. Gerald came up here to his study to wrap this music box. And the next thing we knew, the shot was fired.
Anyone else in the house besides you and Miss Eva?
No.
Yes.
What?
Mr. Clyde was here, miss. He rang the bell just after Mr. Gerald went upstairs.
Where did he go?
He pushed me aside and followed Mr. Gerald to his study.
Look at this in the ashtray.
A cigar.
Still warm, too.
One of Mr. Clyde's brand.
Clyde murdered Gerald. No.
He looked angry, but when I tried to stop it, he said he had to see Mr. Gerald on a matter of great urgency.
What sort of matter?
Something about a letter.
A letter?
Yes, there was a letter. Gerald told me about it just before he came upstairs. It must have been somewhere in the study, probably the desk. He said he was keeping it to hold over Clyde's head. Yes, here it is.
I'm afraid I'm a little baffled.
It's only too simple. In this letter, Clyde suggested putting Aunt Frances in an old woman's home.
What? But Aunt Frances just inherited a fortune.
This letter was written day before yesterday. It wasn't until the next day that Mr. Elcott appeared with the news about Onslow Fraser's will.
But it's perfectly obvious what happened, isn't it? Mr. Clyde killed Mr. Gerald to get the letter back.
But if he did, why didn't he take the letter with him?
It's probably because you two came running too quickly.
Yes. And not having gotten the letter, don't you think Clyde may still be somewhere in this house, waiting his chance?
If he is, I suggest Baxter be very careful.
Why, sir?
Because you know too much, and he knows you do.
You mean you think
he just killed one man, hasn't he?
Listen. Someone moving about downstairs. Clyde, what are you going to do, Lamont?
Don't worry, darling. Who's down there? Who is it? Answer me or I'll shoot.
You wouldn't shoot a defenseless old woman, would you? And so near Christmas, too.
Aunt Frances.
Thank heavens.
Lamont, let's go down before she comes up and sees Gerald.
You go ahead, darling. I'll join you in a moment.
Hello, Aunt Frances.
Margot and Eva. Dear little Eva. When did you get back, child?
Just today, Aunt Frances. Surprised to see me?
Surprised and happy. But then all the surprises I've gotten lately have been happy ones. Which reminds me, Miss Lane, Miss Covington, this is Miss Elcott of Elcott and DeVere.
How do you do?
Charmed, Miss Lane.
You're the lawyer who brought the news about Onslow Fraser's will, aren't you?
One and the same, Miss Covington. And happy I was to bear such tidings just at this joyful season.
I should say. Speaking of this joyful season, isn't there something in the drawing room that Aunt Frances should see, Eva? There certainly is.
What?
Now, you're not to ask questions. Just stand where you are.
Mercy me.
Now then, Margot, open the door. Merry Christmas, Aunt Frances.
For me?
All for you.
A lovely tree. Indeed, a very lovely tree.
It's so beautiful. It's really so beautiful.
Now then, my dear.
It's been so long since I had a real Christmas. I've forgotten how wonderful it can be.
Yes, one does forget how wonderful things can be.
You rang for me, Miss Eva?
Yes, Baxter. Merry Christmas, Baxter.
The same to you, Aunt Frances. Let's have the eggnogs now, Miss Eva.
I can't think of a better time. Shouldn't we wait for Gerald? Oh, I don't think so, Aunt Frances. And Clyde. Where's Clyde?
Right here, Aunt Frances.
Clyde.
You don't think I'd miss your party, do you? Merry Christmas, Aunt Frances. And may you wear these for many, many happy years to come.
For me, Clyde?
For you.
Oh, pearls. A choker of perfectly matched pearls. The cart, look.
Exquisite. Really exquisite.
You must have spent a fortune on these, Clyde. And I haven't a thing for you.
That doesn't matter, Aunt Frances.
Oh, but it does. I'm rich now, you know, and I insist that you tell me exactly what you like for Christmas.
I'd like you to be well and happy.
Oh, that's very sweet. But isn't there something you'd really like to have? I think I can tell you what Clyde would really like to have, Aunt Frances. What's that, Eva? A letter.
Miss Eva, just what are you talking about, Eva?
A letter, Clyde. A letter that you wrote Gerald day before yesterday.
I never wrote Gerald a letter.
Oh, no? How peculiar. And I have it right here, signed by you.
May I see that?
No, you may not.
May I see that, Eva?
You may not,
May
Clyde.
I see it now, Eva?
Oh,
Mr. Covington.
He's got a gun. Clyde.
Hand it over. Come on. Give it to me. Thank you.
Clyde, what's the meaning of this?
There's no time to explain just now, Aunt Frances. I must go. However, I beg you not to believe any of the poisonous lies these people may tell you about me behind my back. I want you to know that I do wish you the very merriest... Drop that phone!
Don't throw on me.
Drop it back! Pick up that gun, Baxter.
Yes, sir. What do I do now,
Take Mr. Clyde up to the study and hold him there until the police arrive. Yes, that's right. There's been a murder, and we're holding the culprit under guard. Yes, I suggest you get here as fast as you can.
Are the police coming, Mr. Carson?
Immediately, Mr. Elcott. I'm sorry I had to spoil your Christmas party like this, Aunt Frances.
Oh, Lamont, my dear, you had no choice. And Frances. Yes, my dear? We found this upstairs. Little remembrance that Gerald bought for you. A music box. And a very lovely one. Listen. Oh, how charming. And look, it's gold.
That's a gift for a golden-haired lady.
What did you say, Mr. Elcott?
Why,
Mr. Johnson!
Come on.
That came from the back of the house.
Clyde.
He's killed Baxter. Come on, Margot. Baxter! Baxter!
Baxter!
I'm all right, Miss Lane.
Oh.
Though I can't say as much for my prisoner.
Clyde.
He tried to escape, sir. So I was forced to shoot.
Tried to escape? How could he try to escape with you standing over him with a gun?
I don't know, sir. But he did. And since the two of us were all alone here, I'm afraid, Mr. Cranston, you will just have to take my word for it.
When Margot and Lamont heard the shot from the rear of the Covington mansion, they found Baxter standing over Clyde Covington, a smoking revolver in his hand. A few moments later, in the massive entrance foyer.
He killed Clyde deliberately, Lamont. I'm sure Baxter shot him in cold blood.
I rather agree with you, Margot.
But why?
Possibly because Clyde had an alibi. An alibi Baxter didn't want him to use. I mean that Clyde may have not come to this house at all early in the evening.
Not even to get the letter?
He wasn't the only person who might have been interested in getting that letter, Margot.
No?
No. Baxter could have used it nicely to hold over Clyde's head as long as Aunt Frances lived, bleeding him of a nice sum in the process.
I see what you mean. Then it may have been Baxter who killed Gerald, too.
I don't know. It's only a theory. Theory is worth a visit from the shadow.
What was that? Who's that laughing? Who's in this pantry?
It is I, Baxter.
Who spoke? There's nobody here.
Oh, yes, there is, Baxter. The shadow is here.
The shadow?
Standing right at your elbow. You can't see me, but I'm here. Here to see justice is done, Baxter.
What's happening to me? My mind is slipping.
I want the truth, Baxter.
Go away. Go away.
Not until you tell me why you killed Gerald Covington.
Leave me alone. Please, please. I didn't kill Mr. Gerald.
You can't lie your way out of murder.
I didn't kill him. That's not what I've lied about.
What have you lied about?
Nothing.
The truth?
I lied about him. About the man coming in before Mr. Gerald was killed.
Yes?
It wasn't Mr. Clyde.
No, then who was he?
Will you let me alone if I tell you?
Yes.
All right, then. It was...
Lamont, is Baxter going to be all right?
Yes, the bullet grazed his skull. He's unconscious, but he'll live. I left him in the library.
This case is getting more confusing every minute.
Yes, isn't it?
Take Mr. Elcott, for instance. I don't understand his position in this little mystery at all.
Well, what do you mean?
You remember what he said when I gave Aunt Frances the little gold music box?
Yes, he said a proper gift for a golden-haired lady.
Exactly. And how does he know Aunt Frances had golden hair? Her hair's been snow white for the past 20 years.
An interesting question.
And very confusing. It's all confusion.
Margot?
Yes?
Whose overcoat is this hanging in the hall tree?
Well, I don't know. If it isn't yours, it must be Mr. Elcott's.
Elcott?
Why?
I just saw this sticking out of the pocket.
Clyde's letter. Oh, what's it doing in his overcoat?
Must have grabbed it in the confusion. You know, it's just possible that our dignified old friend also saw the value in holding it over Clyde's head.
Of course. After all, what do we really know about it?
Not much. We're going to find out.
Operator.
I want to make a long-distance call to Boston, Massachusetts.
To what number, please?
Oh, I don't know the number. It's the law firm of Elcott, and,
Juvine.
And Juvine.
Yes, sir. I will place the call and ring you back.
And make it fast, please.
Yes, sir.
And what do you really think?
Time has come to stop thinking, Margot. We're on the verge of the kind of discovery that cracks the case wide open.
Yes.
Look, I want you to go into the drawing room. Elcott will be there.
Yes.
I'll tell you exactly what I want you to do. When you get in...
Come in, Miss Lane.
Where's Aunt Frances? Lying down upstairs. She's had more excitement than she can very well stand.
Sit down, Miss Lane.
Thank you.
Miss Eva and I were just saying that this case is becoming quite perplexing.
It is indeed. This attack on Baxter is the most puzzling thing of all. Now that Clyde is dead, who could have done it?
I don't know, but there's certainly no doubt that Clyde's guilty of Gerald's murder. Baxter saw him run up to Gerald's study just before Gerald was killed.
I'm afraid that's not true, Mr. Elcott. Baxter admitted he was lying about that just before he was wounded.
Is that so? But there's that cigar, the one that Miss Eva saw in the ashtray. Didn't that belong to Clyde?
Yes, Mr. Elcott, it did. It even had his initials on the band. Do you really think Clyde would have been foolish enough to leave a piece of evidence like that behind, Mr. Elcott?
Well, what are you suggesting, Miss Lane?
I'm suggesting that with Clyde out of the way, the margin of guilt is narrowed down pretty closely, Mr. Elcott.
To me, Miss Lane?
Yes.
But
to you.
I've been with Aunt Frances all afternoon. I was with her at the moment when Mr. Gerald was murdered.
Can you prove that?
Of course I can. Aunt Frances is right upstairs. You have my permission to ask her.
Then it wasn't you?
Obviously not. And obviously, Miss Lane, you can now draw the logical conclusion.
Yes. I'm afraid we can. Before you do, put up your hand.
Eva! Put that gun away.
I'm sorry, Mr. Elcott. I'm really quite sorry that you two, who aren't members of this greedy little family, had to stumble on the truth.
Do you think you'll get away with this?
I can try.
There's a very slim chance that you'll succeed.
For $1 million, I'll take a very slim chance.
The telephone.
Sit right where you are. I'll answer it. Hello?
Someone had just put in a call to the law firm in Boston, Massachusetts.
Yes?
We checked very carefully, miss. There's no such firm listed.
What?
There is no firm of Elkhart, and Dubin.
What's the matter?
Who are you, Elkhart?
I'm almost sorry for you, Miss Eva.
There is no firm of Elkhart, and Duveen.
I know. And there's no $1 million.
What? But you came here about Onslow Fraser's will.
And Onslow Fraser never made a will. In fact, Onslow Fraser isn't even dead.
What?
Although just at this moment he almost wishes he were.
Then you...
Yes, I'm Fraser.
Oh, I think I begin to see.
I fell in love with Anne Francis years ago, when she was as young as you are tonight, Miss Lane. And I never fell out of love with her.
Why did you have to pretend to us that she was inheriting $1 million? Why?
Because I knew how dismally you and Clyde and Gerald had treated her. I had no money to help her with myself. And then the idea came to me, I could make it appear that she'd become an heiress. And then depend on your greed and deceit to provide her with at least one really Merry Christmas.
A very sweet idea, but...
But a very dismal failure, I'm afraid.
I'm afraid so, too. I'm afraid there'll still have to be 2 more murders before the party's over. Eva! There may not be $1 million, but I still have my life to think of. Don't you realize the police are on their way? But they're not here yet, and I have a gun, and the door is open.
What was that?
Who closed that door?
I did, Eva. The door is no longer open.
Who are you?
I am the Shadow.
What are you doing here?
I've come to accuse Eva Covington of the murder of her brother, Gerald.
It's a lie. A lie. You can't prove it.
I can prove you contrived a neat little plot to murder Gerald and convince the world that Clyde had murdered him for an incriminating letter.
No.
You took Baxter in on your plan, promising him a part of the $1 million you hoped to get. That's why Baxter killed Clyde when he realized he could easily alibi his way out of the charge.
How do you know all this?
The Shadow knows. When I confronted Baxter, who was about to get the truth out of him, it was you who shot him to save your own skin.
And I still have a skin to save. Either you open that door or I pull this trigger.
Don't be a fool.
I warned you. Let him.
Drop that gun. Drop it. Drop it.
Let me go. Let me go.
As you please, Miss Eva.
She's going out of the window.
Yes, Mr. Elkhart. Straight into the arms of the police.
Found a letter in your overcoat, and I thought you were the murderer, Mr. Elkhart.
I picked it up and hidden it so that Aunt Frances wouldn't see it, Miss Lane.
Here she comes.
Frances.
Yes?
I want you to know how sorry I am.
Sorry? Why?
I've made a tragic mistake. The gift of Christmas that I tried to give you turned out to be a gift of murder.
Not really, Onslow.
But Clyde and Gerald are dead.
It was their own greed and ruthlessness that brought about their death.
And besides, the world's better off without either of them.
Much better.
Nevertheless, I'm sorry.
You shouldn't be. You've made me very rich.
But the $1 million wasn't real, Frances.
Oh, it isn't the million that's made me rich. It's your kindness and remembrance and the love of your heart. That's real, isn't it?
Yes.
Then, Onslow.
My dear?
Must you take that back?
Frances. You mean...
I'm alone, and so are you.
My darling.
Well, what do you know? It looks like it'll be a Merry Christmas after all.
With many more to come.
And that's The Shadow, starring Brett Morrison in A Gift of Murder, as originally broadcast December 21st, 1947. I'm...
Mystery is my hobby. place a year ago this Christmas Eve. Inspector Noah Danton and I had gone up to Boston to attend the famous carol-singing festivities at Beacon Hill. Come on, Inspector, let's hurry along. There'll be several thousand people on the hill. We don't want to miss anything.
Okay. I'm walking as fast as I can. Say, Bart.
Yes, Inspector.
Is it true that folks who live on Beacon Hill leave their shades up and their doors unlocked on Christmas Eve?
Yes, it certainly is.
Why?
Why? The Christmas spirit, Inspector. The spirit of goodwill toward men and peace on earth.
Didn't know that Bostonians were so trusting.
I beg your pardon.
Uh-oh, I stuck my foot in at that time.
You certainly did.
You were born somewhere around Boston, weren't you, Bart?
Yes, in a little town called West Medway, about 25 miles out in the country.
Never heard of it.
A group of us used to come in every year to hear the carol singing at Beacon Hill on Christmas Eve, Inspector. Oh, those were the days.
And me, I was born in Brooklyn. We always figured Boston is sort of a small town.
It's going to be good to see it all again. The carolers, lighted windows, the bell ringers.
Chicago, Philadelphia, Atlanta, all the other small towns. The bell ringers? What in the heck are they?
A group of people dressed up in bright red costumes and move from house to house ringing their bells and singing, Inspector. It's a very old tradition. I'm surprised you haven't heard of it.
That's a funny thing about Bostonians.
What's that, Inspector?
They worry a lot because their traditions don't get around more.
I see what you mean, Inspector. Well, here we are, Charles Street. Hey, watch the lights, Inspector.
Oh, don't worry about me. I've seen a traffic light before.
Don't act like it.
Surprised to find anything so modern in Boston, though.
Listen, Inspector.
Yeah, it's kind of pretty, isn't it?
Isn't it? I think they're up near Louisburg Square.
I don't hear any bells.
Can I see you a minute?
Hey, that kid's talking to you, Bart.
Oh, hello, Sonny. What's in your mind?
Are you Barton Drake?
Must be somebody from West Medway.
Yes, I'm Barton Drake. How did you know?
Well, I read a lot of your books, Mr. Drake, and your picture was in the paper this morning. They told me that you were going up to the carol singing tonight.
So, being a detective yourself, you trailed us, eh, Sonny?
Oh, no, sir. I figured you'd come along this way. I've been waiting here since 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock? Say, Bub, you must be frozen stiff.
Oh, no, sir. I'm not very cold. Anyway, it won't matter if Mr. Drake will help us.
Help who, Sonny? What's wrong?
Well, it's my sister and Dad. And me.
Well, all three of you, eh?
What's your name, Sonny? And what's the trouble?
I'm Jimmy Christian, and, well, my dad, he's in trouble. Bad trouble, Mr. Drake.
Well, tell me about it, Jimmy.
Well, my dad... Well, you see, my dad...
Yes, go on.
Dad, he murdered a man last night.
Jumping Judas, Bub, your dad is in a jam.
Well, he didn't really do it. I know he didn't. My dad couldn't hurt anybody. He's the most wonderful man that ever lived. He just wouldn't hurt anybody.
I'm sure he wouldn't, Jimmy. Inspector, suppose we stepped over to that drugstore in the corner and order up some hot chocolates, I'm sure our young friend will find it easier to talk if we get in out of the cold.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I always say hot chocolate is just the thing to bolster up a man's spirits. Good, eh?
How about another, Jimmy?
Oh, no, thanks, Mr. Drake. Gee, that was swell.
Maybe we ought to have a slug of soda pop or something.
Jimmy looks to me like a man whose eyes are getting bigger than his stomach.
Well, I guess I did eat more than I should. You see, Dad hasn't worked for a long time, and, well, not much, I mean, since Joe was killed in Germany. I don't blame Dad, though. He and Joe were sort of important to each other.
I see. Was Joe your brother, Jimmy?
Yes, sir. He's a lot older than me, though, and then there's my sister Mary. She's older, too.
So you and your dad and your sister live together, eh, Bob?
Yes, sir.
Tell me, Jimmy, your dad's sick,
Well, sir, sort of. I mean, he is a lot of the time. You see, after he heard about Joe, well, you see, Dad's got some friends that he meets at a place called Harry's Bar.
So that's it.
Inspector.
Huh?
All right, Jimmy. Now, you tell us what happened last night.
Well, sir, Dad was with some of his friends until kind of late, and then he started home alone. At the corner of Beacon and Gloucester Street, there was a man...
Someone jumped him, eh?
Yes, sir, that's it. And I guess they had a pretty terrific fight.
And your dad killed the other man, Jimmy?
I guess so. It was in the papers this morning.
What was in the papers?
That a man was found on Beacon Street near Gloucester.
And he was pretty well cut up, too. Police figure he was hit by an automobile.
Do they know who the man was, Jimmy?
No, sir. They hadn't found out this morning, anyway.
And nobody knows that your dad was in the neighborhood except you and your sister? Huh?
No, sir.
Well, then, for crying out loud.
But your dad is quite sure that the dead man is the one he had the fight with.
Oh, yes, sir. He says he's committed murder and he's going to give himself up to the police. He says that's what Joe would want him to do. He says he could never live in peace having a murder on his mind.
It's too bad. All murderers don't feel that way. I could retire.
Jimmy, has your dad been to the police yet?
No, sir. Mary and I made him promise he'd wait till after Christmas. We know he didn't do it, sir. Well, Dad just couldn't kill anybody.
And then you read in the papers about Barton Drake.
Oh, I read about you, too, Inspector Danton.
Is that a fact? Well, well. What did it say, huh? Was my picture in the paper, too?
You know very well it was, Inspector. You bought at least a dozen copies.
Oh, now, Bart, let the boy talk if he wants to.
You can ask him to tell you all about this later, but right now we've got more important things to talk with Jimmy about.
Do you mean you'll help Dad, Mr. Drake? Oh, boy,
now, wait a minute. Jimmy, let's not jump to conclusions. Perhaps we can't help at all, but I think we can go out and have a talk with your dad.
It's only a little further. You're not getting tired, are you, Inspector Danton?
Me? Tired? Walking? I love it. That's why I have flat feet.
Have you always lived in this neighborhood, Jimmy?
Yes, sir. Just down here's a little ways.
Down this alley?
Well, it isn't really an alley. Well, Dad says it used to be a famous street.
Oh.
Here we are, up these steps.
Well, Jimmy, I see you've got a Christmas tree in the window.
Oh, yes, sir. Mary and I saved up and bought it. We figured if we had a tree and things, well, it'd make Dad feel better.
Looks kind of nice at that.
Come on in. Boy, Mary'll sure be surprised. She said I was crazy if I thought I could get Barton Drake to come here.
Don't forget me, Bub.
Hey, Mary! Dad! He's here! Barton Drake is here!
Jimmy, what in the world? Jimmy, who are these men?
It's Barton Drake and Inspector Noah Danton. Don't you recognize them? I told you they'd come if I asked them. I told you.
Good evening. I suppose you're Jimmy's sister, Mary.
Why, it is Barton Drake.
Well, sure it is. Who'd you think it was?
Oh.
And this is Inspector Danton.
Hi.
Well, won't you sit down? I hardly know what to say. Jimmy, you shouldn't have done this.
Well, sure I should. Mr. Drake will prove that Dad didn't murder anybody, won't you, Mr. Drake?
Well, I don't know, Jimmy, but I'd like to talk to your dad, if I may.
I'm sorry Jimmy put you to all this trouble, Mr. Drake, but I'm afraid there's nothing anyone can do.
On the contrary. I think your father'd be making a mistake if he gave himself up to the police pleading murder.
Now, wait a minute, Barton. Murder's murder.
Not unless it's deliberate, Inspector. According to Jimmy's story, Mr. Christian was attacked. If death resulted from the fight that followed, it could reasonably be called self-defense.
I knew it. I knew Mr. Drake could figure out something.
I'm afraid Jimmy didn't tell you everything, Mr. Drake.
Oh?
You see, the police believe that the man who was found on Beacon Street this morning was hit by an automobile.
Yes, I know. Jimmy told us that.
Sure I did. I told him everything.
Please, Jimmy. Dad feels that sooner or later they'll catch the hit-and-run driver, Mr. Drake. He feels that someone might go to prison for his crime.
Well, why doesn't he wait until that happens?
It's hard to explain, gentlemen. Ever since my brother Joe was reported killed in action, Dad's conscience has been bothering him. Somehow he feels that what happened to Joe is his fault.
So he gets pie-eyed every night at Harry's bar, eh?
Don't you talk that way about my dad. He only does what he does because he feels so bad about Joe.
Okay, Bob, okay.
Is your father at home, Miss Christian?
It won't do any good to talk to him. I know it won't. I'm sorry that Jimmy put you to all this trouble.
Well, since we have gone to the trouble, I'd like to talk to your father, if I may.
I'm sorry, but
Who
he...
wants to talk to Noel Christian?
Oh, Dad!
Hi, Dad. Hey, guess who these men are? They're Barton Drake and Inspector Noah Danton. That's who.
Barton Drake, the criminologist?
Yes.
That's right, Mr. Christian. I'm Drake. This is Inspector Noah Danton.
Aye.
So they found out, huh? They know I'm a murderer. On the contrary, Mr. Christian, we hope to prove that you're not a murderer.
Well, gentlemen, I'm ready to go with you, and it's a relief. Believe me, it is. It isn't easy to live with one's conscience.
But, Dad, you don't understand. These men are here to help you.
Help me? There's no help for a murderer, daughter. Isn't that right, Inspector Danton?
What? Oh, sure, yeah, that's right. No help for a murderer. You bet.
You see, the inspector knows. If Joe were here, he'd understand. Joe was my son, gentlemen. Since he was killed, I I've been trying to live as I know he would want me to.
By forgetting your responsibilities toward your other children, Mr. Christian?
Why, the idea.
Young man, you don't realize what you're saying.
I realize perfectly well what I'm saying, Mr. Christian. There isn't one man in a million who would give himself up to the police, claiming he was a murderer, especially when there was a chance of his getting out of it, unless he were a complete fool. I don't think you're a fool, Mr. Christian.
Hey, you can't talk to my dad like that. I wish now I'd never even asked you.
Mr. Drake, I think you'd better leave.
Very well, Miss Christian.
No, wait.
Yes?
Your words interest me, Mr. Drake. You say I'm not a fool. Why, then, do you think I'm giving myself up to the police?
I think you're affecting a pose, Mr. Christian.
A pose?
Yes. Please understand, this is only a theory of mine. Frankly, the moment I saw you, I lost interest in what first appeared to be an interesting case.
Go on, please.
I can sympathize with your grief over the loss of your son, Joe, but I cannot sympathize with the cowardly way you have thrust the burden of your grief on your two other children.
What do you mean?
Just this. You attempted to drown your grief in drink. Possibly you lost your job as a result. You were forced to move into this squalid neighborhood. Then you became ashamed of your weakness, and pride forced you to use Joe as your excuse.
Is that all?
Well, Mr. Christian, that's only a beginning. You felt that sooner or later, Mary and Jimmy would begin to question this grief of yours. So last night, you were attacked. This morning, there was an account in the papers of a body being found near the spot where you'd been set upon.
And so?
And so you saw an opportunity to make a hero of yourself by pretending your grief over Joe's loss was forcing you to give yourself up as a murderer.
You don't think I am a murderer, then?
Nor do you, Mr. Christian. You feel confident in your mind that the police will laugh at your confession. On the other hand, you will have gained the adulation of your son and daughter, who will continue to worship and support you.
That's a pretty harsh accusation, Drake.
Yes, the truth is most always harsh, Christian. You're a weakling and a coward, man. Your only salvation lies in yourself, not in... What's that?
I'll go, Dad. It's a policeman.
That's right, my boy. A policeman looking for a Mr. Lord Christian.
Oh, no.
I'm Christian. What do you want?
It is a pity what I wanted this Christmas Eve, Mr. Christian.
Well, go on. Speak up. What is it?
Well, sir, it seems, Mr. Christian, there was a barroom brawl at Harry's bar last night. You were there, were you not, Mr. Christian?
Well?
And it seems you punched the nose of a gentleman named Charlie Augustus, Mr. Christian.
He deserved it?
Oh, I have no doubt but that he did, sir. But tell me, did he deserve being murdered now?
Murdered?
Yes, sir. On Bacon Street near Gloucester, his body was found. At first, we thought it was the work of a hit-and-run driver.
It was, wasn't it?
No, Mr. Christian, that's where you're wrong, I think. Witnesses are out who claim that this Charles Augustus followed you after you left Hattie's bar in a fight ensued.
That's a lie. It wasn't Charlie.
No. Who else was it then? Charlie's body was discovered dead. Pity it is, Mr. Christian, on a Christmas Eve, too. But I'll be arresting you for the murder of Charles Augustus. Come along now.
But this is a heck of a way to spend Christmas.
Sorry, Inspector.
That's a help. You invite me up to hear the carol singers, and what happens? You tell me that on Christmas Day we'll go out to your old hometown. And what
Inspector,
happens?
if you prefer to return to New York, there are trains leaving the South Station every hour.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
Well, Inspector?
What do you mean, well, Inspector?
Are you returning to New York, or are you sticking on the job?
Sticking on it. You're a cute kid. Ha, ha,
ha. Inspector, you're terrific. I knew you wouldn't desert me.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Well, don't think for a minute that I'm giving in. Don't think
of
that
course not, Inspector. Well, here we are.
Here we are where?
Harry's bar. Come on, let's go in.
I don't know what you expect to find in here. Well, the joint's empty anyhow.
Yes, I see it is. However, since the door was unlocked, Here's someone.
Oh, morning, gents. Merry Christmas. What'll it be?
Good morning. Nothing to drink, thanks. Are you, Harry?
Yeah, I'm Harry. How'd you know? I never seen you before. Wait a minute.
You do look kind of familiar.
The guy must read the papers.
I'm Barton Drake, Harry. This is Inspector Noah Danton.
Hi.
Hi. Drake, huh? Oh, sure, I remember. Now your picture was in the Herald the other day.
Oh, mine was there, too.
Was it?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Huh.
We're investigating a murder, Harry, and we thought that perhaps you could help us.
A murder, huh? Who got that name?
A man named Charles Augustus. You know him?
Charlie? Oh, I'll say I do. He was a troublemaker, always starting fights. Couldn't hold his leg. Who knocked him off?
We don't know yet, Harry. I understand there was a fight here 2 nights ago.
I'll say there was a beaut. Yeah. There's most always a fight when Charlie's around.
Well, and what started this fight, Harry?
I don't know. Charlie made a crack about no Christian's kid Joe, the one who got killed overseas.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the boys took exceptions to it and jumped him.
Some of the boys. Wasn't Christian here?
Sure, he was here, but he didn't do nothing. He was thwacked.
Oh, he was? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone get hurt?
What? No more than usual. Charlie got cut up a little, I guess. I only let him fight 3 or 4 minutes. Charlie's kind of sickly and can't take too much of that pummel.
Well, what happened after the fight?
Nothing. Charlie got sick to his stomach and went outside and couldn't come back.
And what time did Noel Christian start for home?
Oh, I'd say it was about 11 o'clock, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty well plastered.
Do you happen to know where the Christians live, Harry?
I ought to. I've walked Noel home enough times.
And how does Christian get home when you don't walk him?
Well, he's got a system. He goes straight down Gloucester, crosses Beacon, and keeps on at the river.
Yeah?
The river's sort of a landmark for him, see? So he keeps it in sight till he comes to the Esplanade Shell, then he goes up and across Charles. He's never missed yet.
Well, 2 nights ago he missed. He wasn't so drunk.
Inspector.
What's the matter? What did I do?
Hey, wait a minute. Huh? Wait a minute. You two ain't saying it was Noel that knocked off Charlie, are you? That's a hot one. Noel wouldn't hurt a flea. Everyone knows that. Look, you don't think that Noel really murdered Charlie, do you?
No, Harry, as a matter of fact, we don't. In fact, we're sure he didn't. Come along, Inspector. We're going to have a talk with Officer Clancy.
Oh, sure, I understand, Mr. Drake. Only it's Christmas, you see, and, well, I was planning on being with the kids.
That's right, Clancy. It's Christmas. And no Christian is spending the day in jail for a crime he didn't commit.
No, just a minute, Mr. Drake, just a minute. There was a man who seen Christian coming along Gloucester Street and recognized him.
So what? He didn't see Christian murder anyone, did he?
Well, sir, he seen somebody jump on Christian, and it was me who discovered Charlie's body later on while I was doing my regular beat.
And since you learned there was a fight at Harry's bar earlier in the evening, you assumed that it was Charlie who attacked Christian, is that it?
Well, sir, knowing that the fight was about Christian's son Joe, now, wouldn't you assume...
We'll ask the questions, Clancy, me boy.
Clancy, in your report, you stated that you discovered Charlie's body on Beacon Street around the corner from Gloucester. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, sir.
Would you mind coming with us and pointing out the identical spot where you first saw the body?
Well, sir, you see, it being Christmas and
I know it's Christmas. Now, look, either you'll come along or I'll get in touch with your boss, who happens to be a friend of mine. And
Well, under those circumstances, sir, I'll come. Well, gentlemen, here we are. I was right there that I discovered the body.
Okay. But how do you know that this is the corner of Beacon and Gloucester Streets? All the signposts are covered with snow.
I beg your pardon, sir, but if you have lived in Boston as long as I have, you'd know when you're at the corner of 2 streets.
We can't argue that, Inspector. If this is Clancy's regular beat, he ought to know where he is.
Thank you very much, Mr. Drake. Now, if I've done all I can...
Well, just a minute, Clancy. I've one of my cards here somewhere. Here we are. And would you be good enough to jot down briefly a description of where we are?
Oh, it's all in my report, sir.
Yes, I know it is. But you see, the inspector and I are strangers in Boston. We'd like your personal description for future references.
Well, it's against regulations.
Heck with regulations. Write it down. Let's get out of here. I'm cold.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't obey your orders without permission from the sergeant.
Well, for God's sake, get permission.
No, never mind, Inspector. I've changed my mind. I don't think we'll need it. Clancy, I'm sorry, but you have to come with us while an autopsy is performed on the body of Charles Augustus.
and me, Mr. Drake? Aren't you satisfied with what you've done?
I'm sorry you feel that way, Miss Christian. I assure you I'm here this time for a very different purpose. Hello, Jimmy.
Hello.
Well, what a very cheerful atmosphere for Christmas night.
What do you expect? We'd planned such a nice Christmas for Dad.
And you're going to have a nice Christmas, I assure you.
Oh, sure, a nice Christmas with Dad in jail and Joe dead and everybody else having a party.
All right, Mr. Christian, inside with you.
Oh, Dad!
Hello, kid.
Oh.
Merry Christmas.
Well, Dad, what happened? Oh, gosh, Dad, you really didn't kill anybody, did you? Did you, huh? Really?
I guess not, son. But I'll let Inspector Danton and Mr. Drake tell you about it.
Well, there isn't a great deal to tell. Inspector, have you the autopsy report?
Yeah, I got it. Charlie Augustus died of a heart attack and exposure just like you figured, Bart.
Heart attack? But I thought it was...
You see, your father wasn't sure that the man who attacked him was Charlie Augustus, Miss Christian.
Oh.
It was reading about his death in the paper the next morning that gave him the idea.
Oh, Dad.
I'm sorry, Mary. The things that Mr. Drake said about me last night were the truth. I saw a chance to make you kids
Well,
think...
what of it? Doesn't make any difference, now that we know you didn't murder anybody.
Thanks, son. Things will be different from now on. Losing Joe was kind of hard to take.
Yes. There's a lot of fathers in the same spot, Christian. They all find it hard to take. But somehow they do take it, and it's that sort of spirit that makes heroes out of chaps like Joe.
You're right, of course. I know it now, and things will be different.
Oh, Dad, it's just as though Joe were here. As though he heard you and was grinning at us and saying, "That's swell, Dad. Merry Christmas."
Hey, wait a minute. How did you know it wasn't Dad who murdered Charlie Augustus, Mr. Drake? How'd you find out then, please?
Well, it wasn't very hard, Jimmy. Harry, the owner of the bar, told us that your father didn't take part in the fight. And he also told us that Charles Augustus was sickly. So we had an autopsy performed to determine the exact nature of his death.
Well, sure, but how did you know? How did you guess?
Don't ask him how he guessed, Bob. Drake never guesses. Go on, Bob, tell him.
No, I think I'll let Officer Clancy do the honors. How about it, Clancy?
Well, no, sir, that kind of puts me in a spot. Was no fault of mine, I'll have you know. I thought it was a hit-and-run drive when I first found the body. Then my report was all handed in, and if Inspector Danton hadn't squared things with the sergeant, I'd been in a fine fix.
But what happened? Why would you be in a fine fix?
Well, miss, you see, it was like this. It seems that your dad there had a system of coming home. He always walked straight down Gloucester Street to the river, so he did, which was something I didn't know at the time.
Come on, get to the point.
Well, so you see, the signboards were covered with snow, so I couldn't see how to spell the name Gloucester. Gloucester's a stickler to spell, and, well, me being a poor speller anyways, thinking that it was the work of a hit-and-run driver, I said to myself, says I, 'twon't make no difference now if I just lug this body around the corner to Beacon Street, which is a first-class easy one to spell, says I.
So that's the reason.
And because the body was found on Beacon...
And Dad came straight down Gloucester.
Well, I'll be a whiskerless Santa Claus.
Gee, holy gee, this is swell. This is the swellest Christmas we ever had.
Oh, it certainly is. Listen, everybody, let's sing Christmas carols.
That's the ticket. Can anyone play the piano?
Can anyone play the piano? The inspector's practically a genius with the ivories. Come on, Inspector, strike up a carol for us.
Now, Bob.
Please, Inspector.
Oh, come on, Inspector. It's Christmas.
Okay, you talked me into it. What'll it be, everybody?
How about Hark the Herald Angels Sing?
Yeah, and it came upon the midnight clear.
Children, we thought this was going to be such an unhappy Christmas. Let's sing, Oh, Come All Ye Faithful.
Oh, come all ye faithful, joyful and
Mystery is my hobby.
The Jack Benny Program. Quality of product is essential to continuing success.
In a cigarette, it's the tobacco that counts, and
LSMFT.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Yes, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco.
It takes fine tobacco to make a fine cigarette. And year after year, at market after market, independent tobacco experts, men who spend their lives buying, selling, and handling tobacco, can see the makers of Lucky Strike consistently select and buy that fine, that light, that naturally mild tobacco.
Fine, light, naturally mild tobacco. Yes, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. And this fine Lucky Strike tobacco means real deep-down smoking enjoyment for you.
So smoke that smoke of fine tobacco, Lucky Strike. So round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw.
At 50, sale now, 59, American.
The Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, Christmas will soon be with us, and millions of people are rushing around making hasty last-minute purchases. So let's go back to last Monday and look in on a local department store in Beverly Hills.
Have you made up your mind yet, mister?
Well, I don't know.
That was Monday. We now bring you up to Wednesday. Same store.
Now, look, mister, you've examined them both very carefully. Haven't you made up your mind yet?
Gee, I don't know which one I want.
That was Wednesday. We now bring you up to Saturday. Same store.
Gosh, I wish you hadn't shown me both of them. Let me see that first one again, will you?
Look, mister, I got a wife and 5 kids. I haven't been home in a week. Now make up your mind, will you?
Gosh, I can't decide. This one looks nicer, but the other seems to be more durable.
Oh, Jack, for heaven's sake, shoelaces are shoelaces.
Mary, when you're buying a gift for somebody, you don't rush into things. Now, let's see. If I take the...
Oh, pardon me. Hello? Yes? Oh, thanks. Thanks for telling me. Goodbye.
Gee, it's so hard.
Look, mister, I want to go home. I got 6 kids now.
Oh, well, congratulations. A new baby. Do you mind if I buy something for the little fellow?
No. No, why don't you buy him a razor?
A razor?
Yeah, by the time you pick it out, he'll be old enough to use it.
That's an old joke.
It was new when we came in here.
Well, look, mister, I'll take these shoelaces, the shorter ones.
Well, thank heavens. Now do you want the metal tips or the plastic tips?
Here we go again.
I'll take the plastic ones. The metal ones rust.
You're right, Jack, but of course you know the plastic ones crack.
Oh. Well, then wait a minute. Let me see.
If that phone rings again, I'm going to punch you right in the nose.
All right. Give me the metal one.
Yes, sir.
I'll pick them up later. I'm opening a charge account. Come on, Mary. Mary, you have my Christmas list, haven't you?
Yes, here it is.
What does it say?
It says, Dear Jackie boy, I couldn't meet you last night because a customer spilled a chocolate soda all over my uniform, so I had...
The list is on the other side. Give it to me.
Oh, wait a minute, Jack. Who's Josephine?
The little blonde car hop at Simon's Drive-In. She used to work at the Glendale branch, but they promoted her to Beverly Hills. Gee, I hope that chocolate soda incident doesn't send her back to Glendale. You know, she's very pretty, Mary. The Drive-In uses her picture in all their newspaper ads.
Oh, yes, I remember. She was Miss Cheeseburger of 1945.
Yeah. She'd have made it this year, too, but her mustard was on crooked. It just goes to show you. Fate. A little thing like that. Let me see that list, Mary.
Here.
Can I help you, young man?
Help me?
Yes. You've been standing in front of this counter for 10 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm confused.
Well, that's understandable. You're confused because it's Christmas time. You've got the Christmas spirit. You're doing your Christmas shopping. You're looking at so many different things.
Well, that explains why I'm confused in December. What about the other months?
Well, I wouldn't know about that. I'm a coal miner by trade. I'm just doing this to help pay the fine.
Well, gee, I'd like to get something for my parents.
Oh, your mother and father, eh?
Yeah, how did you know?
I just figured it out.
Oh, I know. I think I'll get my mother a new corset.
Well, don't you think she should come down and pick out her own corset?
Oh, Mother hasn't left the house for 3 days.
Is she sick?
No, the string broke on her old one and she can't get through the door.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. We were spending a quiet evening at home when boing! Directions.
Oh, my goodness. Was anybody hurt?
No, but my father got pinned to the wall. Anyway, wrap me up that size 44 corset and I'll take it with me.
Yes, sir.
Now, let's see that list again, Mary. Oh, yes, a dozen blades for Phil, some handkerchiefs for Rochester, some little toy for Dennis.
You told me at Ciro's last night you were going to buy Dennis a grand piano.
Last night I had 4 glasses of Muscatel. I'm all right now, so where's the toy department?
Oh, wait a minute, Jack. What about your producer, Robert Ballin?
Oh, yes. I don't know what to get him.
Oh, Jack, look. Why don't you get him one of those new canvas golf bags?
Yeah, he'd love that.
And it's only $15.
Oh. Gee, I just happened to think he doesn't play golf.
Well, why don't you give him a nice cocktail shaker?
Say, that sounds good.
And it's only $12.50.
I just happen to remember he doesn't drink either. What else can I buy him?
A knife and fork. Let's see you get out of that.
Oh, stop, will you? I'll think of something. Now, let's see.
Hi, Jack. Long time no see.
Huh? What? Oh, hello. Come on, Mary.
Who was that?
Oh, he's a racetrack tout I used to see at Santa Anita. You remember we ran into him at the Union Station last year?
Oh, yes.
Say, Mary, I want to get a watch for my sponsor. I wonder where the jewelry department is.
Well, there's the floor walker. Ask him.
Oh, yes. Oh, floor walker. Floor walker. Yeah. Can you tell me where the jewelry department is?
Yes, but you'll hate yourself in the morning.
Look, I didn't ask for any wisecracks. You either give me a civil answer or I'll report you. Now, where's the jewelry department?
It's on the 3rd floor.
Thanks.
Like fun it is.
Never mind. I'll find it myself. It's a fine store to do business with.
You walked in here, Lotus Blossom. Nobody dragged you.
Oh, quiet. Come on, Mary. We'll find it. Mary, let's go upstairs and get that watch for my sponsor. We'll take one of these elevators.
Oh, number 5 is just about to go up.
Yeah, let's hurry.
Hey, Jack. Hey, Jack.
Huh? Oh, it's you again.
Yeah. Come here a minute.
What is it?
Where are you going?
Upstairs.
Which elevator are you taking?
Number 5. What?
Take number 3. It'll beat 5 to the top by 2.5 floors.
But number 5 is about to go up.
I know, but she's carrying too much weight.
Well, I don't know. What do you think about number 1?
Local. Can't go the distance.
Oh, well, what about number 2?
Slow starter.
Well, it really doesn't make any difference. I'm only Christmas shopping.
Okay. It's your money.
I wonder where he gets his information. Huh?
Jack, are we going up or not? So far, all you bought is a pair of shoelaces.
Well, at least the... Say, Mary, I was thinking. Maybe you were right about those plastic tips. I think they're better than the metal ones. I'll go back and change them.
Oh, Jack.
Come on, I'm going to change those shoelaces.
Pardon me, miss. Would you mind waiting on me, please?
Why, yes, sir. What can I do for you all?
Well, honey, child, where y'all from?
Alabama. You know that's down south.
Well, corn my pone and mint my julep. Shake hands with a fella rebel.
Are you from the South, too?
Am I from the South? Just run your hands through my hair and feel those boll weevils.
Well, I declare. Say, wait a minute. Your voice is awful familiar. Haven't I heard it before?
Well, I sure you have, babe. I'm Phil Harris, the Texas Toscanini.
Well, imagine that. Just wait till I tell the other girls that I waited on Phil Harris. Now, what would you like to buy?
Well, sugar, I don't know.
How would y'all like to see something nice in lingerie?
Now, honey, you know you shouldn't throw me a line like that.
Oh, gee, Mr. Harris, you're so cute.
Yeah, everybody notices it.
You know, Mr. Harris, you're so much different than I pictured you to be. On the radio, you're such a braggart. You sound so conceited.
I know, but it ain't really like that, honey. But Benny's writers always write me that way.
His writers?
Yeah, every time they get a hold of a beautiful hunk of man, they make him conceited. Now, look, let's see what I can get for my wife. Oh, I know. Give me one of them negligees there.
Yes, sir. Shall I wrap it as a gift?
Yeah, and fix the package so she can't peek into it. You know, seal it over with some of that there scotch and soda tape.
I'll have it wrapped up for you in just a minute.
But look, mister, plastic tips or metal tips, what difference does it make?
Well, it's a gift, and I want it to be right.
But those other shoelaces are more expensive.
I don't care. I'll take them anyway.
When he buys shoelaces, money is no object.
That's right. Give me the expensive one.
All right. You're not hurting me. I work on commission.
Just wrap them, and I'll pick them up later. Come on, Mary.
Jack, I want to stop a minute at the lingerie counter. I like this shade, miss. I'll take this pair of 2-thread hose. You're wrong, lady. This hose is 3 threads. Oh, no, it's 2 thread. I beg your pardon, but it's 3 threads. Listen, sister, don't argue with me. Not so long ago, I was standing right where you are.
That's Sullivan, Mary.
Well, hello, Mr. Benny. I see the Yuletime is catching up with you.
Oh, hello, Mr. Kitzel. Are you doing your Christmas shopping?
The things I am buying, for my little daughter I am buying, you should excuse the expression, a piggy bank.
Uh-huh.
And my little boy is at the age where he is going in for sports, but I don't know what to get him.
Well, why don't you buy him a badminton set?
Yeah, I'll pay a little more and I'll get him a good minton set.
What?
Christmas only comes once a year.
I guess you're right.
But I'm having trouble finding what my wife wants.
What's that?
A mishmashel.
A what?
A mishmashel.
Oh, no, you mean a mixmaster.
That's right, a mixmashel.
Well, I'm sure you'll find one in the appliance department.
Thank you.
Well, goodbye, Mr. Kitzel.
Goodbye.
Mary, while you're buying the stockings, I'll go over to the toy department and get something for Dennis.
All right, Jack. I'll see you later.
Well, there you are, Mr. Wilson. How does that shoe feel? Oh, it fits perfectly. I'll take that pair. That's fine. And would you like some extra shoelaces? No, I always get a pair for Christmas. Well, that must keep you excited. Yes, I never know whether I'm going to get plastic tips or metal tips. Oh, well, I'll have these shoes wrapped for you in just a minute, Mr. Wilson. Fine.
Oh, hello, Don.
Well, how are you, Jack? Doing your Christmas shopping?
Yeah, I was just going over to the toy department.
I just came from there, and I bought you the most novel thing you've ever seen in your life.
For me?
Yes. In fact, I'm not even going to wait till Christmas. I'm going to show it to you right now.
Well, what is it?
Look.
But, Don, that's nothing but a set of toy wooden soldiers. That's not for me.
Just watch what happens when I wind them up.
But, Don... Don, it was nice of you to think. Don, I don't want that.
It's around. Use a purr. Better buy Lucky's, Lucky strikes a smoke for me. Better try Lucky's, L-S-L-S-M-L.
Oh, darn it, I'll have to wind them up again.
Never mind, Don, I don't want it, but it was a nice thought anyway. See you later.
Don't bother wrapping them as a gift. Here you are. Thank you. Oh, hello, Dennis.
Hello, Miss Livingston. Gee, am I tired. I just walked up to the 6th floor and back.
Walk? Why didn't you take the elevator?
Well, I was going to take elevator number 3, but some man came over and told me it was scratched.
He's a friend of Jack's. What are you doing here in the music department?
Oh, I was just going to buy some records. Here's a swell one, Mary. You want to hear it?
Yes, put it on.
Okay. Old buttermilk sky, I'm keeping my eye peeled on you. What's the good word tonight? Are you gonna be mellow tonight? Oh, buttermilk sky, have you seen our little donkey and me? We're as happy as a Christmas tree, heading for the one I love. I'm gonna pop her the question, that question. Do you, darling, do you do? It'll be easy, so easy, if I can only find on you. Oh, buttermilk sky, I'm telling you why, now you know. Keep it in mind tonight. Keep a brushing those clouds from sight. Oh, buttermilk sky, won't you tell me when I'm needing you most? Hang a moon above her hitching post. Hitch me to the one I love. You can if you try. Don't tell me no lie. Will you be mellow and bright tonight? Buttermilk
Mary, I was looking for you. Where have you been?
Oh, I was just talking to Dennis.
Oh. Now, let me look at that list again, will you?
Here you are.
Gee, I still have to get a present for my old girl, Gladys Zabisco. I don't know what to get her. Do you think she'd like a lipstick?
I don't know. She got lips?
Don't be so catty. I think I'll buy her a bottle of. I think I'll buy her a bottle of perfume. Let's see what else. Oh yes, I'll have to send something to Fred Allen.
Fred Allen? I didn't know you and Fred exchanged gifts.
Oh sure. This year I'd like to get him something he needs. I wonder what department sells plasma. Oh well, come on, I'll get the perfume first. I think it's right over there. But
look, there's Jack Benny.
What's that?
May I have your autograph, Mr. Benny?
My autograph?
Yes, it will make me so very happy.
Yes, indeed, so very happy.
Well, I'll be glad to. There you are.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Benny. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Who was that guy, anyway?
What's the difference as long as he's happy?
Yeah.
Well, here's the perfume counter.
What?
Here's the perfume counter.
Oh, yes. Pardon me, sir. I'd like to buy some perfume.
Okay, mister. What kind of perfume would you like?
Well, I don't know. What's popular right now?
Well, here's something that's not too strong, yet leaves a trail of broken hearts.
Oh.
It's called Avec Très Je t'aime beaucoup, my chérie très bien.
What does that mean in English?
Condensation of steam that's been forced through a motorman's glove.
Gee, they go to so much trouble. No, I don't think I'd like that.
Well, here's some other perfume called Essence of Smog.
Well, I don't know. Mary, do you think I ought to take a bottle of this?
Certainly.
How much is it, mister?
This is $25 an ounce, and the other one I showed you is $30.
Well, haven't you anything a little more reasonable?
Yeah. I even have some perfume for 25 cents an ounce.
25 cents an ounce. What kind of a bottle does that come in?
It don't come in no bottle. We keep it on tap.
On tap?
I bet they serve pretzels with it.
Well, I don't think I'll take any. By the way, mister, how come they put a fellow like you behind the perfume counter?
Oh, my regular job is in a delicatessen department slicing Limburger cheese.
Limburger cheese?
Yeah. Once a month they send me here to neutralize it.
Well, what do you know? Come on, Mary. I'll get the perfume later. Let's go home, huh? I'm tired.
Well, don't forget to stop at the notions counter to pick up the shoelaces you bought, the ones with the plastic tip.
The shoelaces?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, wait a minute. Did I get the plastic tips?
Sure, you went back and changed them.
Oh, yeah. You know, Mary, now that I think about it...
Jack!
Yes, Mary, I might as well get what I want, and I'd rather have the metal tips. Come on.
Oh, look, there's Rochester buying some neckties.
Yeah, and that floor walker's waiting on him. Let's sneak up behind him.
I think this tie is beautiful. It's very unusual.
Yeah, but I don't think my boss would like it. It isn't his style.
I see. What type of man is your boss?
Well, he's medium tall, medium weight, and rather conservative.
You mean he's conservative in appearance?
It goes deeper than that.
At least he's subtle.
Quiet, I want to hear this.
Now, here's a nice tie. Maybe he'd like this one.
Yeah, that's a pretty thing. How much is it?
It's only $3.50.
How much?
$3.50.
Too bad. He would have liked that one.
Oh, fine.
Well, if you don't want to spend quite so much, here's a nice tie for 89 cents.
Well, that's close to what I have in mine and wallet.
Of course, it might be a little too plain for your boss. Is he a young man?
No.
Is he middle-aged?
No.
Is he elderly?
Wrap it up.
Rochester Van Jones.
Oh, hello, boss. I didn't see you.
I know you didn't. Don't be buying me any 89-cent tie.
You keep out of this. I'm working on commission.
Well, now, look, Rochester, you've been with me 10 years now, and I've been very nice to you. I've always tried to make things pleasant for you and keep you happy, haven't I?
I'd like to hear Judge Goldberg's opinion on that.
Never mind. Now, I'm leaving you here, and I want you to decide for yourself whether or not I'm worth more than an 89-cent tie. Come on, Mary, let's go. Say, Mary, which tie do you think Rochester's going to buy me? The one for $3.50 or the one for 89 cents?
Well, if you were Rochester, which one would you buy?
I'll fire that guy. Oh, here we are, Mary. Here's the notions counter. Oh, say, mister.
Yes?
About the shoelaces I bought.
Oh, yes. I've got them all wrapped up. Here you are.
Well, I've been thinking about the plastic tips, and I think the metal tips would be much better.
No. But all I want to do is change them. Change them, he says. This can't be happening to me. This must be a dream.
Look, mister.
I've always been a good man. Always did the right thing.
Look, mister.
Worked hard in the store. A loyal employee.
Look, clerk.
When the Christmas season started, they gave us our choice of departments.
I know.
I could have had any counter I wanted. But I took shoelaces.
Look.
Shoelaces! And why? Because I thought it would be easy. Simple.
Mister.
Metal tips. Plastic tips. And we've got rubber tips, too. But I wouldn't tell you.
Come on, Mary. There's a crowd forming. Let's get out of here.
Jack will be back in just a minute, but first, here's my good friend, Mr. L.A. Speed Riggs.
In a cigarette, it's the tobacco that counts. And today, tomorrow, always. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco.
Mr. Dewey H. Huffine, independent tobacco auctioneer of Reedsville, North Carolina, was born and raised in the tobacco business. He said,
"Season after season, I've seen the makers of Lucky Strike buy tobacco that's mild, ripe, and mellow. Fine tobacco that tastes good and smokes good. I've smoked Lucky's myself for 29 years.
Year after year, independent tobacco experts like Mr. Huffine, auctioneers, buyers, and warehousemen, can see the makers of Lucky Strike consistently select and buy that fine, that light, that naturally mild tobacco.
Fine, light, naturally mild tobacco. Real Lucky Strike tobacco, yes?
LSMFT.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. And fine tobacco means real deep-down smoking enjoyment for you.
So smoke that smoke of fine tobacco, Lucky Strike. So round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw.
Say, Mary, that department store was certainly crowded, wasn't it?
It sure was.
And they had so many people working there. There was Mel Blanc, Gerald Moore, Frank Nelson, Benny Rubin, Viola Vaughn, Artie Auerbach, Sandy Bickert, Pete Leeds, Elliot Lewis. And you know those little wooden soldiers that sang?
Yeah?
Sounded just like that quartet, the Sportsmen. I was going to mention my writers, too, but they wouldn't even come in for the show. They stayed in Palm Springs. I hope they run out of suntan oil. Good night, folks.
NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.